We're starting tonight with a work session. This is the work session for Payson City Council, July 3rd, 2024. The time is, we'll set call at 5:30. So we'll go ahead and, Sean, are you guys ready?
We're ready. Do you want me to introduce Paige, or do you guys know?
You go ahead and do whatever you want to do.
So, Paige has been with us a little longer than me, which is, and, he's not much longer than me. He's a great guy. He works there in the power plant, and, he started studying really well what's going on with our solar, policy that we currently have and what's probably the best way to go. And he'll kind of just explain all the background and stuff, and then maybe some of our suggestions, if you have suggestions, and we're just trying to get the educational ball rolling before we try to do something with our rates and stuff. But Tage has been awesome studying it for about 6 months, I think, and so we'll have a good presentation that I'll talk to you about it. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sean, for introducing myself.
I didn't do that. I should have done better.
Yeah, like Sean said, my name's Tate Baskin, I work down at the power plant. About 6 months ago, Sean came to me and asked if I'd educate myself a little bit more on distributed generation programs throughout the state, really, as well as what our current program is set up like. Little did I know, 6 months later, I'd be standing in front of you guys giving a presentation, but I'm grateful for this opportunity that I get. I've learned a lot, and so I hope what I share today makes sense, and if it doesn't, please ask questions.
We won't grade you either, so.
Okay. Yeah, so just to start off, the purpose of this presentation is just to educate Payson City on our current distributed generation program, as well as what effect solar has had on the power market, because it's a rapidly growing market. There is some big impacts that it's had on prices of power, and I'll show that a little bit later on. We are currently having a rate study done for a proposal for new rates by the same person who did our power rates as well as the impact fees. And so we just wanted to have everybody educated, so when that time happens, that we can make the best decision possible for Payson City. Just wanted to show this slide. As you can see, solar is going to continue to grow. It's a rapidly growing market, and it has had some pretty big effects on places that have a lot more solar. Obviously here at Payson, we have some solar coming in, and it seems like more and more are rolling in every single week. We have permits rolling in every week. Actually, this morning we had a few come in today too. So it's having a pretty big effect on the market, and it affects more so on the price. Just wanted to explain a little bit about solar for those of you who know anything about solar, but basically solar panel, their peak power output happens between 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. That's because the sun is the highest in the sky during this time, and that's when solar is able to produce the most power. This is a good thing, but at the same time, it's a time of day when the demand for power is pretty low. There's not a lot of people home, they're not using power in their homes. And so anytime there's a low demand for anything, the price is pretty low for that, whatever that is. Same thing reflects here with the price of power during these midday hours. It's crazy this spring, we've actually seen prices drop down into the negatives, which I've never seen that before. So it is having a really big effect on our power prices. And I'll show that a little bit later in the presentation. Just wanted everybody to remember this though, because this also is the time of day that we are buying power back from our solar customers. The majority of the power that they generate on their system, like I said, they're not using it that time of day. Most of them are away from their homes. It's not usually that hot. And so this power is going back onto the grid system. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But just wanted to show what effects it's had on a much bigger scale. This is over in California. And as you can imagine, they have a lot more solar than we do. But back in 2015, they started to see the effects of what solar had on their load. Like I said, this is a much larger scale. Their system showing in gigawatts, and ours is only in megawatts. But just wanted to show this because, as you can see, over the years, solar has started to have a much greater impact on their load profile. Back in 2018, they started calling this curve the duck curve, because you can see it was shaped like a duck. Because the solar, the belly of the duck is what's happened because of solar that has been introduced onto the system. 2023, this last year, they actually had to transition over and started calling it the canyon curve, because there's now currently so much power on their system that it's dropping down to where their load profile is at 0. They have so much power that they don't, they're dropping down to into the pretty much no need for power. And like I was saying, when there's a very low demand for anything, the price is very low. Following this canyon, there's a huge spike, as you can see on the right. Between about 2 and 6 p.m., there's a giant spike in the need for power. And as you can imagine, whenever there's a huge demand for something, the price obviously follows that as well. I wanted to show this because here at Payson, we haven't quite seen this huge effect that solar has had quite yet on our market. But just from last year's load profile to this year's, in the blue line, you can see in the summer of 2023, we were peaking between 4 and 6 p.m. This year, we were peaking between 6 and 9 p.m. And that has to do with the solar that's getting put onto the market. So we're getting solar between 10 and 2. So it's pushing our peak load later into the evening. The market is fully aware of what effect solar has on the market. And so the prices where we used to see really high prices between 4 and 6, 4 and 7, we're now seeing really high prices between 6 and 9. Moving on to price, this is where we at Payson can see what effects this has had on our system. The whole Western United States is tied into the same grid system. And so all of the solar that's getting put onto the system over in California is affecting the price that we have here in Utah as well. Like I was explaining before, this spring, we've seen prices drop into the negatives. Because of this, I added in a little bit of what Sean calls the lipstick. But basically, this is just a representation of what we were seeing in the spring of the price of power. And then obviously in those later evening hours, the price of power, it peaks. And this is when it's really important for us to be able to have on-demand power, just like our power plants. This is where there's a really huge benefit for Payson City, especially with the plant we have now, and then also the plant we're going to be putting in the future, that when we do have these really high spikes, now we can load shave and we can cut off those costs for all the residents here at Payson City. So it's going to be a huge benefit to us. Wanted to show this, just showing over top of our current load profile. This was set up from last summer's load profile, but this is just showing when solar is producing the most power. And like I said before, this is the time of day when price of power is virtually nothing. It's dropping into the negatives, and we can get power for free. And so we were looking over our rates and the current residential solar buyback rate. And that's sitting currently how we do our buyback, or just to explain a little bit about buyback. So basically buyback is when a solar system produces energy, they're not using that power in their home, then it is now pushed back onto the grid system. And when this happened, we were crediting any customer before 2017 at a rate of 11 to 14 cents per kilowatt, and any customer who has solar on their homes after 2017, we're crediting their monthly bills at 8 to 10 cents per kilowatt.
And Tage, on the average home, I don't know if you know this, how many kilowatts are they putting back into the system on an average day? Any idea?
It just depends on their system. Most of the time when solar company goes to a home, they take what the usage is per month, and then they'll set up their system based off of that. But the average is around 750 kilowatts.
750.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the average that we're paying right now during that time that their peak is?
in the morning hours.
No, what's the average in between when they're paying getting their most solar? What's the average we pay that during that same time?
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna talk about that in, right here. So we do have some, solar farm contracts, that we are currently a part of, Steel Solar being one of those. And we are able to get that power for around 3.6 cents per kilowatt. So a little, about double or triple the cost we're paying our current customers here at Payson, that we could be getting it off of the market. This is what we're currently getting it from Steel Solar, but market prices a lot of times is much cheaper than this. We're dropping down into the negative pricing where they're basically giving us power for free. And so our proposal is that we get this residential solar buyback rate a little bit closer to 4 cents. 4 cents really being the cap is the most we want to see. Be a little bit better if we could get it around 3 to 4 cents. We are looking at some future solar projects as well that are Fremont Solar being one of those, and they're all also in that same price range, around that 3 to 5 cents per kilowatt. Any more questions on that?
So you want our rate to be closer to the market.
Right, yep, we're hoping to get it a little bit closer to the market. Another issue that we wanted to address with this, currently the way our distributed generation program is set up, there is, all of our solar customers are avoiding paying infrastructure costs. And the reason for this is back when Payson City's utility was first set up, and most utilities were this way, they're set up on a kilowatt dependent system. And what that means is when their utility rates were structured, they were structured in a way to incorporate both the variable costs and the fixed costs. What our variable costs are is the cost of energy. So basically the cost that we can get energy for, and then all of our fixed costs are the costs to keep the utility going, to keep the utility reliable for all of our customers here at Payson.
So basically the transmission lines that bring the power to and from the.
Exactly, yep. And the reason I say that they're avoiding some of those infrastructure costs is because they're using our system basically as insurance. So when their solar panels aren't producing power, they're not wanting to pull from the grid, but they're not quite paying all the costs that all the other residents. And it's the problem that it's causing is it's making it to where now we're having to shift that cost to all the rest of the residents in Payson City. And so we're having to raise rates. And so we want to propose a few solutions to help reduce this issue. Going into the next slide. And this is basically called cross-subsidization. So some of the solutions for this, so that we don't have to transfer all these extra costs onto all the rest of the residents through Payson City, is we want to increase the monthly service charge. And I know we are currently working on this right now. It's going to increase into the $13 range, but we'd really like to see this closer to about $20 for the monthly service charge. We also, on the second bullet point, we wanted to decrease the generation buyback rate, get that a little closer to what we can buy power off the market for, around 3 to 4 cents. Another possible solution is doing demand charges for residents. This would be mainly for all of our distributed generation program customers. And then the last thing is the time of use rate. And what time of use rate is basically when, because the price of power fluctuates not only during the day, but also throughout the year. I mean, the cost of power during the summer is a lot less than the cost of power during the shoulder months. And so time of use rate would basically be, you have a little bit higher power rates during the summer and then a little bit lower during those shoulder months. Yeah. Any questions or suggestions? We also want to take this time if there's any suggestions of things that maybe we would like to see for our future distributed generation program. Maybe me and Sean were talking, and maybe there's a possible way we can do a class once a month on educating Payson City residents on solar, or
Go back to the previous slide, Tage.
Yep.
And thank you for all your work that you've done on this. It looks really good. When you talk about the increase the monthly service charge, is that just for solar customers?
This would be for everybody.
Well, I don't like that. We just raised the rates.
Well, you lower, what that is, you lower the variable rate on the energy and you up the customer service charge, because the idea of the actual customer service charge is what does it cost to get 1 kilowatt hour in the house? And it's a lot higher. It's probably up in the $25 range. In reality, maybe even a little higher. The more rural you are, the worse it gets, and the more spread out you are, the more condensed, the cheaper it is. But that's really what the customer service charge is, and it should be equal for both customers, likely. And that way, you know, you're paying for most of that. It's even hard to actually get customer service charge. When I look in the future and I think, okay, if you have batteries, you have electric cars and everything, we become a wire company. We're transferring energy and everything around. And I could see customer service charges and those kind of things and demand charges, you know, equaling $50, but then the energy dropping. Because what's happening with the, like California just keep putting more and more solar in. And so we're getting paid to take energy if we can drop off some of our other contracts. And so that's what's so cool about doing this power plant is we're able to drop off some of our other contracts, hedge fuel and run and work around those load curves and collect that free energy and hopefully lower the bills for all residents. But if we're buying energy for high prices because people put it on their homes, then it doesn't help the rest of the residents. And we're kind of overpaying. And then we're becoming a battery in essence, because they need energy at 7 through 1 in the morning during the summer, and that's what's most expensive.
So you just were wanting to make sure we're solved.
Yeah, you guys own the utility, it's yours, you know, we're just trying to figure out ideas to make sure that it's fair between all ratepayers, as fair as we can.
So what this would be doing is covering the fixed cost, but our variable costs would go down because we're.
That's what we should be.
Yeah, if we can get our rates structured in a way that would show that the end goal. Get the power rates lower and then increase obviously the monthly service charge.
No, it doesn't do any of the citizens any good to run that a deficit as far as, you know, our. That's not
No,
sustainable.
it's one of the cool things that you own your own utility because you can be that agile, you know, and there's a small enough group to talk to that you can actually, you don't have this big money that's backing legislators to do certain things. We can talk directly to you and you can make a plan that actually works for Payson City or a small city rather than like Rocky Mountain. They were trying to do some of this, but they kind of get knocked down because there's a couple pretty powerful solar companies that are selling, but in a way they're cannibalizing the utilities that people own. And so.
What did we just raise the monthly service charge
To
to?
$13.50, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, it was very minimal.
We're just barely under 12, we're like 11.97.
The average is around $20 for most utilities. And Rocky Mountain, I don't know if you all heard that they're raising their rates 30%. They're trying to slam us with transmission rate increases of like 70%. We're going to lawsuits on that right now because of the wildfires in Oregon, and they're trying to pass those costs off to us.
So basically, even at $20, say, service charge for $20, we're still.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it jumps towards that. It's a big, it makes it more fair. It helps solve some of that, but we'll probably have to do other things as well to.
I definitely want the solar to be playing by the same games as everybody else, so I'm all in favor of decreasing the generation buyback rate. If we're overpaying, that's not all right. So I'm okay with that, but raising the monthly service charge this quick, that much, I have some heartburn for that.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Are we against people having their own batteries?
What's that?
Are we against people having their
Well,
own
try
batteries?
think about if someone is generating and storing, you don't get the revenue to pay for the infrastructure that they're connected to.
So if they disconnect,
If they disconnect, then you don't have any problem.
do we have very
Everyone
many
went.
people that have done that?
I've only had one. in my whole time, and they were doing it for different reasons, we cut the line. But we haven't done that here in Payson. I was told it was illegal in Payson, but we did it in a different city I worked for.
We've had several individuals come in and request to be taken off. As long as they're in the city limits, we have not, and they are on our power, we have not sold, because technically speaking, applying a battery, if the technology is there, the battery may or may not hold or give them enough power to go through the evening or the nighttime to get them to the next day to be able to.
Well, yeah, they would have to, of course, buy the batteries that they're gonna.
Right.
Do, I mean, because I know up on the bench in Salt Lake, there's a bunch of them now that they're off the electricity. They have their own batteries. They're not hooked to the city anymore. That's why I'm wondering.
Yeah, we haven't let anybody off.
Well, why?
Probably the main reason being that they just can't handle being on their own, meaning they're not ready for it.
But what I'm saying is, do we have that right to tell them that they cannot disconnect?
Yes.
Why?
Because we are. the utility.
But why do they have to have electricity? Why if they don't want electricity?
Well, if they don't want electricity, I think in the Springville case, he was a problem person. who may
Well, we
have
just-
to cut it
We
off.
just cut it off, but because I felt, I understand what you're saying, but usually economically,
Oh, I know they're very, very expensive. I
Yeah.
realize that.
yeah.
I
But
know
if someone
people that
has-
do it.
Yeah, if they have enough money and they want that independence, and I'm like myself,
But I think if you look at all utilities, that's a can of worms that we don't wanna open.
Yeah, we're,
You don't
we
want-
Well,
are
it's
forced to
still-
serve.
You're gonna
also.
spend $25,000 to $40,000 for batteries.
I know, but I'm saying like sewer and water and PI and power as a city, we want all of those utilities of each lot, so.
I think when
You
you
start
bond,
making-
you bond, like for sewer, water, there's document, there in the agreements and the bond documents, you have to charge the residents. You can't just let people off or have a septic system. Maybe, there's some in our city that still have a septic system, but they still pay the sewer rate. Because the bond documents tell you, you can't pick and choose. When they loan the money to the city, it's like you need to collect from the residents to make sure that you can make your bond payments. Well, there's some contractual obligations that you have.
But is that legal?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't know if the technology is quite there yet for electric batteries. I mean,
They like sure look nice,
They're-
the panel. but-
they're getting better, and I think they will probably get to the point where batteries will be able to do that.
What percent of the households in Payson are on solar?
I think about 9. There's 500 almost out of this 7,600, so it's pretty deep penetration. Where for some reason Payson, I think it's because of our rate buyback that we're getting slammed.
They get hit,
And
the
then-
salesman hit us pretty hard.
There's a
Yeah,
lot of
I-
salesmen.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's so bad compared to where I was. We only had 200 and we had 13,000 meters. So it seems to be, I think it's the buyback. I think if you look at economics, it doesn't make sense to do. And I think people are getting bamboozled somewhat. I was looking at some of my emails. I had a 73-year-old lady that we went and looked at her average bill is $38 a month for power. And she signed up for 50,000 in debt payments. It makes me sick. I went to these companies and they wouldn't come out of their offices and talk to me. And then I brought our city attorney. We went a couple times and they would not come out and talk or anything. It made me so mad. They weren't getting business license. They weren't, they're soliciting and they were putting on panels before they were getting a building permit on the homes. Like people go shopping and all of a sudden, oh, I just got $50,000 of debt on my roof. And there wasn't anything we could do almost to get in front of it. And so it was really frustrating. I'd like to go at it from a higher level on a state level, but
So basically, that they may not be paying a whole bunch of power bill, but they still have to bill.
they have a
Yeah.
big debt payment.
So it's
Yeah,
sometimes
definitely.
worse, they're worse off.
They're way worse off generally, unless the payback's so big that it's out of whack and it's like full net metering and that kind of works.
And I think a lot of these solar companies take advantage, they don't make it clear whether you're leasing the equipment or buying it, and it's a nightmare. But what about commercial? Are there any commercial?
We have 2,
And are they at the same rate buyback?
They're
or-
pretty high, yeah, it's kind of crazy. And so the way we approached that, where I previously worked, is we treated them kind of like the steel solar fields. We give them that 4 cent rate, and we made them put their production meter and their equipment on the utility side of the meter, so that it was direct, you know, you're a commercial generator now. And we did the 4 cent credit against their bill, but we received all energy.
Did we figure out, right, because they're calling us out to inspect their equipment before they set it live. Are we charging them for that every time? we go
Yeah,
out?
for inspection fee, our guys go out and do that. Usually they've already signed a lot of financial papers before our people go out and look at it.
Can we raise the inspection fee for solar inspections? Is it more than average, or is it?
I don't know, I haven't, we just kind of were trying to do what we thought it cost us to do, you know, like the hours it took and everything else. Just like anyone else.
We've got that consultant that will come back with a report, what their recommendations will be, so this is just more like an educational thing to start a conversation.
Okay, if there's any further comments, council, thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Sean.
Okay, looks like we're pretty close. We got a couple minutes before 6 o'clock, so we'll take those. Council meeting. I'd like to welcome everybody here to the Payson City Council meeting for July 3rd, 2024, and as I stated, it's, we'll call it straight up 6 o'clock. We just had a work session, for those that were here, you're aware of that, but those who were not, we did have a work session, on power. I've asked, Council Rowley if he would open this.
Our dear, kind, loving Father in heaven. Father, we are so grateful for this beautiful summer night. We're thankful to gather as citizens and staff and officials to help guide this city. Father, we are indeed grateful for the United States of America and this upcoming holiday. We pray that we may continue to have freedoms, religious freedom and local government freedom and freedom for each citizen. We pray that tonight, thy spirit may attend us, that we may make wise decisions concerning this city's future, that voices may be heard, and that everyone will remain calm and collected, and that we'll be able to leave tonight, even in disagreement, and we may leave tonight as friends. We're thankful for all of the concern and all of the work that goes into Payson City. We pray that we may continue to prosper and pave the ways for success and freedom. We love you, Father. We're grateful for thy Son, Jesus Christ. May we become more like him. We pray for these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Council Moss will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and start council with the consent agenda. Number one, approval of the June 5th, 2024 City Council minutes. Number two, resolution letter of commitment for Healthy Utah Communities designation. Council, if there's no questions about the consent agenda, I'm ready for motions.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion that's been seconded, roll call vote starting on council. Hyatt?
Yes.
Council Moss?
Yes.
Council Rowley?
Yes.
Council Gill?
Yes.
Council Stevens?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor, can I ask Carl a question on the healthy? Yep. Do we have any plans on doing anything special for this Healthy Utah community?
Like adding things.
Yeah.
This next year, we're looking at the walkable, putting the plan in the general plan for the walkable city, the active transportation. You remember right off. We'll add that, and then every time we'll just add more things to it.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl.
Okay, moving on to e-petitions, yard of the month, Councilmember Moss.
Mayor and council, I am pleased to announce our July 2024 Yard of the Month for Payson City to Nadine Evans. She's receiving a gift card to Olson's Garden Shop. Congratulations.
6 weeks before, because it's all dying.
Let me get a picture. Right in the middle. No, I'm right there.
Oh.
She's just like,
There
keep
you
it
go.
with me.
Okay.
Right here, so.
Yeah, that's well.
There's any way we could have a picture of the yard?
I'm trying to pull it up, and it went so fast.
Okay, you wanna see it here?
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up right here.
Council, I'd like to ask you if I can go ahead and deviate from the agenda. From number 2, we'll bring number 3 up to number 2 position if we can. That would be the public forum. I believe there's a few people who would like to take advantage of that, and would like to give them that advantage before we go into the presentation regarding resident survey results. So,
Mayor,
yes.
just this is a picture of our home.
Oh, so good.
Can't see it yet, though.
Yeah, it's
397 north.
It's 600 east and 4th north, 397
Kind of a
north.
little water coming from me.
No, she's done a great job here.
Really pretty yard.
It's beautiful.
Thank you for having pretty yard.
So Mayor, I'll make an emotion that we amend the agenda to your discretion.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and open the public forum. Anyone can speak on items not on the agenda. Please be cognizant of your time and identify who you are. And if I could, I know there's quite a few of you here and you would like to speak, and that's wonderful. We want to give you the opportunity, but we'd like new information each time that you come up, so.
Okay, we had created that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll try to limit it. My name's Norm Avery, and I'm here to raise some recognition to an issue out at West Mountain with the shooting range out there. And when we first found out about it, we circulated a petition, and we currently have about 1,400 people that have signed the petition, not in favor of the shooting range in that location or something. We boiled it down to about 6 here, so we got out of the 1,400, we're down to about 6. So we'll keep it as concise as we can. And we appreciate your time and the opportunity to talk with you a little bit about the concerns that are out here. This was initiated our reason for coming here because we understand that Payson City was promoting and supporting the gun range out in that area with CMP coming in as a private group. And we just kind of felt like that there's a ton of issues out there, impacts to people. The whole neighborhood out there is impacted, several hundred homes. And we're proposing that huge 750 acre parcel of land out there to be part of the gun range. I think about 537 acres of gun range and some buffer land out there, but that's huge. And we're shooting parallel to our homes. For 2 miles north and south is what the proposal looks like it is. So the safety is an issue out there. Size is, noise mitigating noise from, they're saying they can probably get up to bringing 4,000 people to that shooting range per month. People come in, they're not gonna shoot a few times and go home. Flying in, they're gonna shoot maybe 100 rounds, who knows, maybe more than that. We're talking about 200,000 to 400,000 shots could be fired up in that area along all those homes every month. That's a disaster. And I don't understand how that could even be a possibility. I just don't understand that. So I'm gonna let some of the other people talk just a little bit, so that we're not give you folks the picture of what our concerns and what the impacts are going to be. That proposal.
Thank you.
Doctor here that needs to, you're on call, right? You want to go first? Kevin or Kevin, why don't you?
I might mention while you're coming up, there are some other, and you're aware of them, I'm sure some of you, most of you probably are, but we have a Zoom meeting with CMP that will be on the 9th of this month, and also a BLM meeting that will be on the 11th too. So just wanted to put that in record as well. Sir, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Wright, council members. I appreciate you moving this up and the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Kevin Nelson. I'm a pediatrician here in Payson. I work over at Mountain View Hospital. I see babies at Mountain View Hospital. I don't work at the hospital in my company tonight. And I hope that you'd listen and maybe hear. One reason is because you all had a pediatrician and your kids, your grandkids have pediatricians. And that's my role. Part of this is I care about child health. That's what I do every day. I ask parents about lead exposure. It's just part of what we do. I also have an 8-year-old son. He was walking down the street one night. So I looked out the window and I thought, what if he is not safe? Because our home happens to be, my front door is 300 feet from the boundary of the proposed West Mountain shooting range that CMP plans to build. I shoot. I, with my neighbors, supervise a group of 11 and 12-year-old boys shooting down near Moab. And we did a great job. I was safe. So I want you to know that I'm in favor of shooting. But I do feel like the proposed West Mountain gun range does pose some serious problems for child health that just may not have been considered in the planning process. And I recognize this is an ongoing process. And so I ask that you consider these going forward. And as a resident also, we really like to be involved in the planning process. So we're grateful that we would look to do that now. What's very interesting is there's new information that mental health is affected by loud noises, continuous noises. And that's, some of those are going to be produced by this gun range, even with attempts to mitigate them. There are children with autism in the area who will be affected. I'm not sure how you mitigate that. They're very sensitive. There are children with ADHD, anxiety, depression, and new research is showing that anxiety and depression can be increased by noise levels. And I don't know how you quantify this, but child development, I mean, if you've got a 15-year-old, he probably listens to loud, but a 15-month-old baby, how do you, like, can you take them out in the yard? I don't know the answer to that. But I'm grateful to live in Payson. I mean, we live in West Mountain, but we moved here to live in a small town in a place like this. And you have set mental health as one of the things that we're working towards. And that's something, we do that tonight with adopting the Healthy Utah that initiative. That's one of those is improving mental health. And I've worked with the city since I moved here 10 years ago. That and one of the goals this year is to improve mental health. So I really hope that we'll take this into account. There's other child health issues, but that's one that nationwide, ask any healthcare provider, we spend so much time on mental health. And so I thank you for your time tonight, and I hope that we can that this is an ongoing discussion. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please feel free to come up.
Mayor Wright and council members. Done this before. But thank you for listening to our concerns. Just as Norm and Kevin talked about. Aaron Westberg is my name. My wife and I live on 6300 West. We're on the proposed 50-yard line, I guess, if you will, of the pistol ranges. And I'm pro-gun completely. I think the CMP is a wonderful organization, but what is very concerning is having this range bordering directly behind my property. I just don't see how noise and safety can be 100% mitigated, just like what my neighbor said, we've got a bus route along there. If there's a better location, I'm putting money down, I'm joining the CMP. I'd love to go to the CMP and shoot. But we need the range away from homes where it belongs. I couldn't find a single range in America that's this size that has homes anywhere near, like, let's say 1,000 yards, let alone 1,000 feet. My home, like my brother-in-law said, we're neighbors. We're literally not kidding, 250 feet to the property line and then whatever the easement is. I mean, you can't even fit the range up there if you move it 1,000 feet up the mountain. So I guess my first question, I'm super concerned about safety and I'm super concerned about noise and mental health. I've got 6 dogs that every time it does something, they go nutso. They're gonna go crazy. I've got a daughter that lives with us that will be living with probably the rest of her life. And she's concerned. So my first question is, all of these concerns, I guess, as far as I'm concerned, go away the minute the location moves to a win-win. They all go away. We need a win-win so we can all enjoy West Mountain. My family, we moved out here, moved from Orem. I've got a small business with 30 employees and actually looking at some land on American Way to set up in Payson, and literally moved out of Linden, probably the same reason that all of you all moved to West Mountain, for the quiet and rural atmosphere. That's why we all moved here. And my neighbors and myself, like, you sacrifice your whole life so you can be out on a mountain and enjoy those things. And I want to be able to enjoy all those same things. So I guess my question, how could you mitigate and allow me to enjoy all those same things and my neighbors in that whole area without just being greatly reduced?
And I'm sure those questions are going to have to be answered. And, that's what the reason that the Zoom call is for, and the BLF. So we just want to listen to your concerns. Yeah.
So my first, I guess my big concern is why this location, and I'd like to see studies on why this location. And I'll just end with that.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. In respect for your time, I put my thoughts on paper, so I'm going to apologize up front and say I'm going to read a little bit.
What is your name first, sir?
Okay. My name is Mark Anderton. I'm a West Mountain resident of 18 years, and ironically, I was born in this building.
As was I.
I understand you're considering a range development on West Mountain. We talked a little bit about it tonight. I want to say up front, I'm very pro Second Amendment. And I am a range gun enthusiast, and I've spent my professional career around firearms. It's my passion. It is my current profession. I served 24 years within the United States Marine Corps, Special Operations as a scout sniper, and a subsequent 18-year career within the defense industry supporting the warfighter. I have shot and remain active in the use of machine guns, both light and heavy, sniper rifles, pistols, shotguns, and calibers of all manufacture and caliber. I'm not opposed to the range. I'm strongly opposed to the location of the range. There are other BLM lands that are more suitable and do not directly impact the established residential homes. This doesn't pass the common sense test with me. I have two notable concerns I'll briefly comment on. That one is, which has been discussed, it is safety. And I come from a different perspective with my point. The proposed range places it very close to residential homes, and my first concern is that safety. The published information depicts the surface danger area, or that fan that establishes where those rounds those projectiles or the firearms can be shot. Within this surface danger zones, they parallel established family homes. There are no burns that will contain the inevitable ricochets that will be fired. I've witnessed this countless times in the last 41 years of my personal experience as both a shooter and a participant. Professional ranges are going to do whatever they can to mitigate such risk, but the reality is when humans are involved, it will happen. This is a matter of when, not if. Those rounds will land somewhere. To make my point, all one needs to do is validate this point. It was attend a military night fire range where tracers are being fired. The red phosphorus in this example is completely irrelevant. What it shows is the projectile path when deflection or a ricochet happens. What will happen is when that projectile is fired and it hits either the ground, it hits a metal object, a rock, or other lead projectiles within the impact area, it's going to be deflected. That round will hit its maximum ordinate. Once it leaves that SDZ, it reaches maximum ordinate, starts to lose its power, and then it starts a course wherever it's going to land. Gravity will take place if that happens, when that happens. Building a range so close and parallel to existing homes and dwellings will impact will occur. It's not a matter of if, but when. And personally, I'm not going to place my family, my grandkids, my property, my animals at risk. My rhetorical question to you, would you live where I live? Would you live next to this range? My last point is I want to give you just a brief how this is going to directly impact me as a person and my family. After retiring from the Marine Corps, I was diagnosed by the Veterans Administration as a disabled veteran with 100% PTSD rating. I've experienced two combat zones and numerous firefights. My family carefully selected a place that we were going to retire to and reside. And we were searching for peace and serenity away from city life to heal, move forward, and raise our family. This is my post life. I don't complain about it, we live it. This is the first time that I publicly announced this in a public forum. It means a lot and has a direct impact to me. I've undergone treatments, therapy for years to overcome, and I view my home as my sanctuary and place of peace. I want each of you to know the impact this proposal will have on me and my family and the residents of this community. The constant and ongoing sounds of gunfire is just noise to some. For me, it's something completely different, and it's received completely different. It creates severe anxiety. The building of a range directly by my house will shatter my sense of peace and security, and it will affect my mental health that I have worked very hard to improve. I have served my country with honor, and I remain a patriot. What else do you want from me? I want you to see me. I want you to hear me. and know the impact this is gonna have on me, a resident of this community. If this range goes forward, sadly, you're gonna force me to change the environment and move from a place that we love and enjoy. Please change the location of this range. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Hi, my name is Juliana Westberg and really happy to be here today. I'm happy that so many people came out today to hear this. I haven't really, I've got some notes scattered, so just bear with me. So we did the same thing. We moved to West Mountain to kind of have quiet enjoyment of life, so we could have peace, tranquility. We purchased a 5¼ acre lot as was required in that location. We could have purchased an apartment or somewhere else in the city if we wanted to, but we decided we wanted to be away from the hubbub and the noise. And that's why we spent the money and built our home on West Mountain, 300 feet from the proposed shooting range. Gosh, there are so many issues that one can imagine. I saw, so there's a fire rescue, you shot a gun, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Have you ever had the occasion to experience human error with guns?
For other people, yeah.
Yeah. So is that once in every 20 years you see it?
I see it every year because the shootings, they should be shooting like tracers, propane, things like that.
So people who are highly skilled, have you ever seen human error from a highly skilled professional? Never. Mark, have you seen any human error from a highly skilled professional ever?
Yes, I have.
Thank you. When I was looking at 1,000-yard ranges, I love guns. I've been trained in hunter safety. I agree, it doesn't pass the sniff test. When you see a 1,000-yard target and there is a misfire, you can't even see the target at 1,000 yards. It is something you are having to calculate with numbers. Wind, we're in a canyon with 2 wind areas that could potentially change the target. This is really concerning because human error is a really, really big deal. They talk about it in the NRA, in the handbook. They talk about how there is human error. And on every single gun range, you'll be able to see that there are stories and testimonials of why they try to make it really safe, but there's always going to be human error. And so another thing is, what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, if you buy a house next to a gun range within 1,000 yards, you have to sign a waiver releasing liability. Is that correct? That's something I'm aware of.
All this will, the CMP has done this in multiple areas, so.
Are they within 300 feet of homes?
Well, again,
I'll tell you right now, they're
again, we're
not. We
we're
have
not
done our
sure. All
research.
of that will be vetted with CMP.
Perfect.
And so that.
I'm so
will be-
happy to hear that. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, so from my understanding, if you purchase a home within 1,000 feet of a shooting range, you have to sign a waiver releasing liability. Why? Why would you have to do that if there's no problems? We're within 1,000 feet. There's bus stops within 500 feet. I'm just a little concerned that maybe you guys haven't walked the range and been aware of how close homes, bus stops, families are to this potential liability situation.
And that's why the process we're going through. You bet.
Thank you. I'm really grateful that you guys are looking into all of these things because it would sure be a shame to be down the road where this was established and then there was something that happened, a catastrophic event and a child was killed, which happens all the time within a mile of gun ranges. And we would wonder who would have that burden on their shoulders. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments.
My name is Naomi Avery, and I am also a resident of West Mountain, Utah. I've been in Utah all of my life, born and raised. I love Utah. I just wanted to state that I don't think there's one of us that lives up in West Mountain that is for this gun range, honestly. We all oppose it. It's a safety factor. There are so many factors that come into play. We are also concerned it's a corporate takeover of BLM land, which is public land. That gives me a lot of heartburn. That's not right. This land is currently accessible and usable for ATVs, horseback riding, hiking, and some shooting. This shooting, we've also heard from residents that says, well, you're used to this. We are not used to this. The shooting would extend for a 2-mile radius down the back of our homes. We do not have shooting behind us right now. When we do get shooting, we have horses, we have dogs. They go ballistic. They run in the house, they hide. Our horses, can you imagine horses jumping over fences? It's not fun to find them. So there are so many factors we're concerned about. The habitat up there. It is a desert, but there are bald eagles, there are coyotes, there are foxes, there are all kinds of birds and species up there. And I've even seen deer up there. My son goes camping up there all the time. There's this beautiful little spot canyon that the deer hide in. If we go across that area, they have no way to get down to the water, which is the canal. That is a concern. I love public cherished land, and I hate to see it taken away at the cost of us having to pay for a fee and going in only on the restriction that we can enter with, they're okay. We need to protect our neighbors and this parcel of land and keep it safe for all. We propose to keep the land for ATV riding, dirt bike, and horses. We also support the Second Amendment. We are not opposed to a gun range. We just want to move to a new location. And I just wanted to say thank you for your time, Mayor and Councilman.
Thank you. Appreciate you taking the time.
Hello, my name's Lee Johnson. I live up on the other side of Gary's Meats. By the pond, irrigation pond. I'm here to ask if there's some way that we can get the weeds mowed east of that pond. They're taller than the fence.
That's our pressurized pond up there.
Right, and it's get out of dry. The guy drives up the concrete path once a week, or then mows the edge of that and mows the other path. But the city come up years back and burned it. And then left it unattended. It ended up burning down into the hall. That needs to be, something needs to be done with that. And another heartburn that bothers us is the fireworks in the restricted area. We've never seen any patrol. Fireworks go off all the time up there. It's in the area that you can't set off fireworks, but they're setting off fireworks. They have been the last few days in the restricted area.
Good to know.
More holes been cut in the walls at Gary's Meats, which is 17 years ago. The ordinance says that he would enclose it, soundproof it, and smell-proof it. Nothing's been done. As far as I know, he's still not connected to the sewer line, which he was supposed to be hooked up to the sewer line. So, we're still dealing with Gary's needs and the noise and the odor. And it seems like the city, whatever you do here, it just falls on deaf ear on the administration, doesn't want to enforce any of the codes.
I know it's important to us, it really is, and sometimes it's not as easy as it makes. Certainly,
If you go on 17 years, it still seems like,
understand.
the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, you know.
We will look into it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm inclined to go ahead and close this unless there's somebody else that would like to get up.
Okay.
I apologize, I'm not really dressed for the occasion, I was, up north, buying some fireworks. Anyway, I'm just here representing the Payson Scottish Festival, and as you all know, we've got the Scottish Festival that's coming up next week. We're excited for the partnership with Payson City. This is one of the biggest events that we have in the city, and I love it. So we just want to make an official invite to council to be there. You're invited to be there. We've got kilts if you want kilts. For some of you, we expect to have Councilman Christensen in a kilt.
We don't have kilts. Your wife is counteracting your statement.
She says no. Oh, we don't have kilts. Oh, she says we don't have kilts.
The mayor's been in a kilt most of the time.
Chief Bishop needs a kilt. Anyway, this is our 40th anniversary. We're gonna have some more vendors than we normally have. We'll have children's games, car show, athletics, food. It's gonna be an amazing event. We start at 5 o'clock on Friday. Saturday, the parade starts at 9:30. We'd like to invite you to be in the parade. It'll start at Library Square. It's a whole block. So I think
Next year, you have a longer one.
that's true. Next year, we'll have a longer one with water features and everything else. Mass bands, and this, by the way, is for the public as well, too. So if any of the public wants to come attend, 10 o'clock mass bands will be at Parkview Elementary. Opening mass bands, we'll have medals. I just wanted to show you these. These are brand new. We'll pass these around, but we have these as medals that we're doing. People who have traveled around the country say that they're the best looking medals around. We also sell those in the form of a keychain. So if you want to buy some keychains, or we've got some celebratory pins for the 40th anniversary. So anyway, we'd like to thank the city for their support. Wes in particular, the grounds crew has done a fantastic job. But everybody involved, from parks to activities and recreation, it's been a great merger to be officially part of the city. So we invite you to come. Thank you.
May I ask you, Doug, are they gonna have dogs there?
So dogs are not allowed. That's city ordinance, and we're not going to change city ordinance. We've got a bunch of signs that we put up, no dogs in the park. It was kind of interesting that I think the dogs were fewer in the park than in previous years, but there was at least one instance of maybe a funny video meme that you could send of a dog urinating on one of the no dogs in the park signs. So people see them, they know that they're not supposed to have them. We've been advertising it on social media. No dogs in the park. So
I just worry about I've been there a few times and some of them taken after the people, and that's what I worry.
yes, well, it's not safe for people, and it's not safe for the dogs as well. So like if you love your dog, like it is a really crowded event. I don't know how many people we have in the park at one time, but there are a lot of people, and we've seen dogs get tangled up, and you've got food being sold there, and you've got people and kids walking around. So yeah, no dogs allowed.
I did notice on the website that it says that service animals are allowed, but ESA animals are not. That's the emotional support animals today. So they've even clarified that as well, so.
It's a thorny issue. It's a really hard one.
It's a tough one for us.
So Hardin, we'll
Do our best.
We'll do our best. We'll do our best to tell people and let them know, and we'll also hopefully get some help from Chief Bishop in his kilt.
Okay. Anything else then?
That's all that I have.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Oh, and I'm happy to talk with any West Mountain folks at home if you're interested.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm again inclined to close unless there's somebody that really would like to
get up and tell us something different than we've heard, I'll go ahead and, not saying, go ahead and close the public forum. I would really like to compliment you folks. Appreciate you being here. This is the way it's supposed to work, and that's exactly how we want it to go. So thank you very, very much. Invite you to stay if you'd like to stay longer, but we're gonna move on. Okay.
Thank you guys for coming and for your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, we'll go back to number 2, presentation regarding resident survey results. Dave, Ron, on point. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, Mayor and Council, let me bring this up. It's on Zoom. Are you able to see Zoom at all? I guess only over here, right? Well, we did a survey for you. Should I wait for the mayor to return?
Or you can share your screen so you can control it.
Should I wait for the mayor to return?
You go ahead.
Okay, so not long ago, we were commissioned to do a survey on 4 topics. Just very quickly, we were looking at citizen support for road improvements, citizen support for a new recreation center, for a new city center, and for a new library. And so we completed this survey in May. We started it on May 10th. We ended it on May 27th. So it went pretty quickly. And we got 1,537 completes, which is pretty good, you know, an excellent response rate. And any number that you see, plus or minus 2.5%, you know, that's about the margin of error that you should expect to see there.
So what's the percentage of the response rate or how many?
Of the residents?
Yeah.
Well, so the adult population, yeah, I bet you have 15,000 adult population, don't you think? I bet you that's what you have. Maybe even a little less than that. So a little more than 10% of the adult population. There's 6,000 households, right? I think there's 6,000 households. So you're going to have pretty close to between 12 and 15,000 would be your adult population. So that's what we did. I want to show you a couple of things. First of all, we did it throughout Payson, and we got pretty good representation for each of the major areas from the voting precincts that you have here. So we did quite a bit. And you know, we did a survey for you a year and a half ago, and really the response rates are about the same, and the population that you were able to cover. We also looked at, just so that you have a little confidence in it, we looked at the demographics here. And it's a very young population, 18 to 39-year-olds are the most, but you really have balanced age throughout. So we have a nice set of age, you know, groups. Male-female split is nearly equal. A lot have children in the home, 60%. So we did pretty well with the children in the home being there. And also years in the city, we have a good mix of new ones, been here only 1 to 4 years or 5 to 9 years. And quite a few who've been here 20 years or more. So it's a nice, good distribution of your residents. Most do own their homes. Only 9% are renters. We always find that renters, we get a lower percentage of renters participating, but that's where we stand right now. So we did pretty good. As I mentioned, there were the 4 areas, and I'm going to jump around a little bit so that we don't just make our way slowly through this, but here's the first one that I want to show you is roads, and they all follow the same format. First of all, down at the bottom, we have the description, and we took some time and we described the issue, saying that the roads are in trouble, and if we do a one-time investment, we can fix a lot of the roads, we can fix the sidewalks, curbs, and gutters, and make them last longer, and we feel this is an important need. And then we would ask, would your household benefit? A lot, some, or no? Would the city benefit? A lot, some, or no? Is it worth spending city funds on this? Well, definitely, or probably not, or definitely not. And is it worth a tax increase? And of course, you see there's a little bit less. I want to talk with you about that though.
And so this is what we got. Now, what we did it for all 4 of them. So I'm gonna jump to a combined ratings page. So this puts all 4 of them kind of side by side. So down on the left, you see, well, actually, there's 2 tables on here. One is the top box, meaning we benefit, the top one is we benefit a lot or some, or we would definitely or probably support an increase. So on the top one, on the bottom one, it's just the top box, meaning I benefit a lot, or I definitely would support a tax increase. So we can kind of see them side by side. And the strongest one was the roads, where the household benefits a lot, but actually the recreation center does pretty good. I want to let you know that recreation center, there's a lot of appeal for that. I'll tell you the reasons why, some of the challenges for it, but there's a lot of support for it. The city definitely benefits for most of them, but definitely the roads. Is it okay to use city resources? 71% say, yeah, definitely, probably. We could use city resources to do this. And then is it worth a tax increase? Definitely, probably. And the number is 46 and 45 right here on the top. So there's pretty good support. If you go, is it worth a tax increase? Top box only, definitely, you're down to 18% and 14%. We did the same thing. Now I want to show you something. With this particular survey, we didn't say how much the tax increase would be. And so they had to go, it might be big, it might be small. They really didn't know. So we just did a very similar survey in Farmington. I presented it to Farmington today. And I want to show you something on the Farmington survey. So this is, oh, it's a different page. Sorry, I'm going to share it again. Okay. So now I'm going to go over to Farmington. Now in Farmington, it's almost an identical survey, where what we did was we showed them the support. What they wanted to do in Farmington, the county owns Main Street and a lot of the roads, and the county's neglecting them. And so the city's proposal was, we'll take them over and we'll fix them. That was the proposal. So we showed some pictures and people agreed. And then what we did was we wanted to find out if the household would benefit, if the city would benefit, if it's worth spending city funds. And let me tell you what, the numbers are nearly identical to yours, hardly a change. But when we said, is it worth a tax increase, they're up to 36% and 39%, very strong support. But they said it was going to be $20 a year to do this. And the residents went crazy. And I said, can you do this for $20 a year? And he goes, citizens $20 a year, businesses are going to be much more. So that's the way he's going to do it, right? Like he said, yeah, we've got this figured out. And so the citizens are going to carry some of the water, but the businesses are going to carry a little bit more. And that was his plan. And so if you have a reasonable amount of a tax increase where it does seem reasonable, they got twice as much as you got for their support, for definitely support. And I don't want to say that like you would get the same, but it's probably you would, because every other number of theirs was nearly identical to every other number of yours for the roads. So anyway, you have good support. The library has the lowest level of support, and the city center actually is, kind of lower behind. After we presented all of them, we actually put the 4 of them head to head. We said, here's all of them, which one should we prioritize? And we had them choose their number 1 priority, and it was the roads by a large margin. So if you had to choose, and as a resident, they thought, well, the roads are where the money should be spent, and it was by far the most. And then the rec center was a strong second. And so, and a lot of them did say, hey, I like the rec center, but the roads come, they'd do that kind of a thing. Or they'd say, I like the roads, but as soon as we're done, I want this rec center. So they would do that kind of a thing.
Question, what's the percentage of the roads?
On the right, it's 40%.
40%.
Yeah, 40% pick that for the roads, and 28% pick the rec center. And then we said, what's your second priority? And that's on the right. And so your second priority, I've got something. is, it's like the top two and it's 61%. Pick the roads in their top two. So that was the other thing. Okay, now, we did a fair amount of work to figure out well, I want to go into some other detail to help you understand a few things, because on the rec center, we actually asked a number of other questions that helps you kind of see what they're thinking. And we asked about how often do you do the following activities? And we have casual or self-directed fitness, youth-oriented sports, youth recreation, organized fitness programs, adult organized sports, and adult recreation programs like oil painting and so forth. There's a lot of casual or self-directed fitness, but the rest are pretty small, right? So when you think about this, there's only a certain proportion who, I think a lot of them would probably think they probably would never use the rec center. And so and most people use the roads. And so the rec center has a definite bias just because there's a portion of the population. And in this case, the nevers get out and do self-directed fitness is 28%. And they just, I don't do that thing, right? And so that's one of the issues just to be aware of. Also, where do you exercise? And most are exercising at home, or they're just going on the streets and the paths and the trails and so forth, right? And so a rec center is only moderately appealing, but appealing to some of the people who say, I just get out there. On the other hand, we have winter here. So you got to be realistic, it's a big deal. In the wintertime, you can't do nearly as many things. But we have, where do you exercise? And some people do go to a paid gym. That's the fourth one down. 27% go to a paid gym and they do some exercise, and some go to the pool, which is the fourth one down. And so that's very meaningful. What activities would you like to see? We had a whole list of activities listed here, including aquatic and weight training and pickleball and cardio. That's the first four. And there was a lot of interest in those. So the pool is still a big draw, but so is weight training and pickleball and cardio. So those are the things that would be really good in there. There are others that are smaller, like CrossFit or martial arts or gymnastics, but they're there. We have the other, and I listed the other, but it's too small to see here, but it's only 9% of the people picked other. Only 22% said none of these, but that's still a realistic thing. There's this 20 to 28% who just don't do it. They just don't do something. We did ask about desired aquatic activities. The recreational pool is the biggest thing. The lap swimming is next, but we won't spend a lot of time on this. I'll let you review this on your own time. But this next slide is kind of interesting. We said if the city did create it, how likely are you to use it and how frequently? There are some who said never, 13% down at the bottom. There are some who said rarely, that is 23%. So there's a fair number here who say rarely or never. If you add the 13 and the 23, that's 30, 40, no, that's 36%, isn't it? So almost a third say probably not much. But then you get the monthly, weekly, several times a week, and dailies. And then I took the midpoints from each of those, and then I calculated how many times a week is a person likely to go. And it's about 1.5 times a week for the average person. So, a couple of times, maybe, one or two for the average person. Some people would go a lot. So I thought that was interesting. So the roads, we didn't ask any additional questions. We did ask some questions additional about the library. I'm not going to go into a great detail. Maybe I will. Should I be careful on time?
Take the time you need.
Okay. So I'm going to show you some things about the library. The library was the least supported of the ideas. And there's some reasons for that. We asked how frequently do you use the library, but we didn't know where they go to the library. Do they go to Payson, Spanish Fork? Where do they go? Where are they going? So we have Spanish Fork and Springville and Santa Quin and Salem. And hardly anybody really does use the other libraries. There's some, about 5% maybe go to one of the other libraries. Most of them, if they do it, they do it here in Payson. There are 42% who say never. And so that's like you immediately have a little bit of a challenge to get support when 42% don't even use it at all, right? And so that's a realistic hurdle to overcome. So we were thinking, what do we do to make the library appealing enough that people will want to come and they'll want to support it? We asked this question. On the left, think of the library as it is today. Like, what comes to mind? Like, what is it? So the way we phrased it is, when you think of the Payson Library as it exists today, what 3 phrases or words come to mind? And we showed them these phrases, which goes from poor parking, welcoming and friendly, needs a larger collection, peaceful, community programs and events, limited space, youth and teen activities, it's old and needs updating, community gathering place, and then vibrant. So really what it is there's nothing vibrant or even like today, like they think of it as a peaceful place, a welcoming place, you know, but not really that exciting, right? And I did another library survey for another one, and actually community programs and events was the top one. And because they were doing all kinds of, they had a maker space and they had all of these things that were really cool. And people thought of it kind of that way. And the Library of the Future was more of that. And vibrant, which is our lowest number for them, it was like pretty high. And they wanted the library to be like this hub of interesting activity. It's not that way here. Like even the future view, what would you like it to be on the future on the right-hand side is pretty sleepy, right? It's like there's not a belief that the long-term, the library of the future is something really exciting. And then what we asked about what programs would you support, and they would support book clubs, computer classes, language classes, health and well-being. But there's nothing in here that's really, I would say, interesting or exciting. So if the library is to have let's say, a really supportive future, I think there's got to be some thought put into it to make it something that people would find far more relevant rather than just a peaceful place to go, right? So that one is the hardest one to take to the next level. The city center is the next one that we did. And when we did the city center, the support was the third one down. Like it was the third one down. I'll just have to ignore that. That's my phone going off. So we asked them. I think just ignore it, right? Oh well. Okay. So on new city center support, we described what we saw the city center potentially delivering. Flexible space to accommodate the city administration and administrative and planning needs, community space for gathering and events and senior activities, greater security, efficiency, and maintenance savings, room to house a new library, and positive perception images for the city. Do you know though that didn't really resonate too much? A medium amount, right? If you describe what it was going to be, you got, well, you did get 26% who were very supportive and 43% who were somewhat supportive. So it wasn't bad. But when we talked about the police and emergency services and stuff like that, support went way, way up. And so as you consider the new city center, I think the police and that whole EMS and whatever you can do to make that relevant, that'll help you gain more support for it, because that they feel a direct importance for that, and they want that to happen. And so you got a lot of support if you do that. And then I think I'm almost done. One last thing I'd like to do. We tried to find out why each of them was a priority for them. So if they selected roads as their top priority, or if they selected the recreation center as their top priority, or the library or the city center as their top priority, we asked them why, and they just described why it was. And we tried to take that apart and find out for you what resonated so that you could work on it, And also what may have been lacking, because we looked a little bit into why they picked one over something else and what was lacking, and what you could potentially do to help people understand the potential. And roads was just pretty straightforward. Hey, we have bad roads. So they didn't really say really much other than these things need to be fixed, and it's essential to the infrastructure. And we also need the sidewalk improvements. So they were talking about those things. That was really high priority. The rec center was a different group of people. They just thought everybody would benefit from this. The people who liked it, like there's this universal feeling that like this is, and there is a core group inside of the rec center who just loved it. Like they were all on board for this. So you have this very supportive group, but they also thought that there's really nothing else around, and the winter is a big deal around here. And they just thought it was just really worthwhile because of those two things. Like there's nothing else here, and why don't we do that? The library was really looking at the community and the needs, and education is a high priority. And the civic center, the city center, the number one thing that they picked up for their highest priority was because of the public safety and emergency services. Very much so. And behind that was the city administration and just having a thing that was efficient for the city. But some people did like the idea, and I know, Mayor, this is something that you had brought up, but the library could be in there, and people liked that very thought. Like they thought that was good. I don't know that that would be enough to push it over, but it was a really thoughtful thing to add, and it may be a smart thing to do. Many people did say it modernized Payson, and that's something to think of. And then what we tried to do is for the rec center, I'm going to go there. For the rec center, we looked at, and there's some words down below, objections to overcome and possible suggestions. So a lot of people feel that the rec center is a want and not a need. And that's real, like, and therefore they said it's a want, not a need. Therefore, let's sequence the needs first and the wants second. So that was the way that came out. Then they also wanted clarity on the costs. So they didn't know, many of them said, I don't know what the upfront cost is to build the thing, what the yearly costs are to maintain this thing, what my costs are to use this thing. So those are just, with clarification, you might get more support, of course, you might kill it. So, you know, it could go either way. And I understand that. And they also, many of them wondered if the cost could be more reasonable by combining it with something, a school. How do we do this so that it's beneficial, a school or something else where you bring maybe even a private entity? I don't know. They thought, can we do something where this costs are shared rather than fully borne by the city? So just something to be thoughtful about. And then I wanted to show you the city center messaging ideas. All right. So some feel the city center is a want as well, and the roads are a need, so they did that. And then they wanted to have a way for it to benefit the public as well as the city leaders. You know, like how can the public really benefit from this? And it's something to consider, like, is there a way to do this in a way where there is far more public benefit? And I don't know what that would be, by the way, but they did wonder about that. And then what they really want to do is have evidence that would make life better for the first responders, and that it would really help them. And
Was there anything that, you know, this is an old city center and it costs an awful lot to maintain? Was there anything that was?
They did notice that. By the way, that is one of the things, that was one of the compelling messages, that it's old building that's inefficient and costly to maintain and use, and that was compelling. Like they really did find that, like it's meaning, and it may, you know, it maybe needs to be pumped up in the messaging to just say, are we throwing good money after bad? Right.
That's how, that the public could benefit.
So with this survey, I think what you can do, like this was kind of like, of course you don't have final plans on any of these, but you have information that will help you as you think them forward, and how to make them really more compelling and far more likely to be supported by the residents of Payson.
So Ron, there's one thing I found very interesting. Maybe you can show them how you can toggle certain things on and off.
Oh yeah, I didn't really show you how to navigate this, but we'll send you the link. I provided it I think you have the link, don't you, Brian? And, but on this survey, so on the left-hand side, a couple of things. On the left-hand side, there's an arrow. And to kind of make it not be so big, you know, I put a layer of things underneath it. So you can just click and get to the next level. The next thing you can also do is, let's go to the library usage. We can say, well, I'm on this page and I would like to look at people who are over age, say, 60 and 69, like, you know, over 60 and older, what do they think? And so on the right-hand side, you can just on the fly kind of do a deep dive onto who is interested in this, right? And the older people are even less interested, as you would assume, right? And you can do moms with kids really easily, so you can do that as well. And you can even say, what are the people in Area 6, which that was West Mountain that we heard about a bit today. And you could say, what do the people in West Mountain think of this? And so it would be really easy. So, but I presume you'll share the link with them.
Yeah, and one thing I found very interesting, and I can't remember if it's the rec center or the roads or something, but I toggled the young people versus the older people, and there was a big difference. Usually it's kind of the same, but in this survey, there was a big difference between ages, which
you know, I'm gonna go down, in fact, to the one that you talked about, initiative prioritization. I'm gonna go down to this page. And so you're saying if we go to people who were under, say, well, let's describe the 18 to 39-year-olds, right? And what do they think is most important? The rec center is by far the lead, right? No. So if you go to 18 to 39-year-olds, it is like, just switch. Yeah.
Hey, Ron, is that what you have for us, or you have more?
That's what I have, and then I'll stand by to help any way you might need.
Okay. Any comments, questions?
We're gonna make sure that we all get this link, Dave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Ron, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. We wanted to put it on the website for people to look at. We wanted you guys to have
Thank you.
Moving on to the last item, petitions, staff reports. Any staff want to come up? Oh, run it out.
He's happy now, the survey showed.
That's not what I just want to be Tracy for once in my life. I don't have anything. I just want to invite everybody to National Night Out on August 6th at the Petite Neat from 6 to 8 p.m.
August 6th.
August 6th, the first Tuesday in August. We'll be there with food and games, and bring your grandkids or kids. Everybody come out, have fun. We'll have a dog from our police department there, so I think Councilman Rowley has already agreed to be bitten.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on the big suit.
No, without a suit.
No suit. Oh, okay.
Is it by call?
That's
Yes.
And then after that, I get to taste Chief Bishop.
Oh, there you go. I'll do that.
Chief, what was the time?
From 6 to 8.
That's a Petite Neat.
Petite Neat, yep.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Another chief.
There's going to be more work. There's a building on by
There is, but they're going, I'll be there then. You guys are more work for a second. The crews are really heavy. Just to give you a couple of updates, we do have some restrictions in place that we do every year for fireworks. We do patrol all the nights they're allowed to do. We will patrol this weekend as well, because the fireworks are not allowed after Friday. So they were allowed last night, tonight, tomorrow night till midnight, and then Friday till 11, and then they're not allowed Friday or Saturday. So we do patrol the areas, but at the same time, we have a lot of area in the city to patrol. So we do try and focus on the 6th East, 8th South, Riley Drive area, but we do have a lot of illegal fireworks too. So we do patrols, but we'll patrol over in his neighborhood a little bit more. We don't have any fire restrictions in place. The state has put restrictions in place for the unincorporated areas of the state. But it does not include cities or federal ground. And we typically follow the Forest Service and have not put any restrictions in place. So right now, we have our fire pits up at the Kiwanis Payson Canyon Park. They're allowed to have fires. You can still have fires in the Forest Service anywhere, whether it's an approved pit or not. But things are drying out and we are getting more calls. So we may change that so the next few weeks as things go on. But we typically try and follow the same thing as what the Forest Service does. We do get a little bit of challenge, but not very often, maybe once or twice out at the landfill area where they mostly shoot exploding targets is what causes most of our fires, or tracer rounds, or aerosol cans or propane that don't explode until they build a fire, and then they do explode and cause a fire. So those are the kind of things that we get fires from out there, not as much with fireworks. So anyway, hopefully it'll be a quiet year, and if you have any problems or concerns, let us know. But we will have people out looking and patrolling and trying to keep things in check. So.
Thank you, Chief. I have seen them out patrolling. I have seen it last year, so thank you.
Yep, we're aware.
Okay. Thanks.
Mayor, council, public, just quickly, things are going well in the recreation with the heat. The grass isn't as green, but the pool is sure crowded and busy. So June was a very good month for public use and swimming and swim lessons. Also, so you know, next week with the Utah Girls Softball Association, we'll be hosting a state invitational tournament Tuesday and Wednesday.
Payson?
That'll be, yeah, for Payson here, so that'll be good. And then the other item on the Get Healthy Utah, after Kevin spoke with our CTC committee, we discussed hosting throughout the year or multiple years some suicide prevention training to the public community here. So, yeah. Any questions?
I got it. Go ahead.
I just want to know on your shirt there, does that represent anything or pattern?
This represents Tracy's golf course. Yeah, I don't know. It's camo. It's camo. I'm surprised you can even see it.
How did you get that one?
I won this shirt from Tracy with some fancy golf tournament that took place. I happened to score more points than other people. And in golf, you're supposed to have low points, but I think I got the most points.
I just want to compliment you on, you say it wasn't as green as it could be, but it's very green. I appreciate how the fields look.
Well, Jeremy, Savannah, and Jarrett, our full-time crews, they're been fantastic. Our Mo crew as well, Chris, Cole Jensen, and Timoteo. And then Greg and Matt from the golf course have come down and working on equipment and helping a lot. So thank you.
The other thing is, appreciate your work on the Healthy City
Designation.
It's always nice, you know, we're sitting there with the bigger cities and towns when they brag on other cities, and now we will be able to brag.
Well, hopefully we get designated that,
We
so
will.
we've applied.
We will.
We'll see if I spelled all the words right.
Thank you.
Tracy, I had a resident that drives around to different accelerated softball and baseball games all over the country, and they said the Payson fields are by far their favorite and the nicest to come to. So pretty great.
First of all, I want to state that was not gambling what we did. I mean, I want to get that on the record. Well, it was, yeah, anyway. On the parks, I just want to remind you, Wes and those guys are doing awesome, but just bear with us, because every time we have something in the park all weekend, that means we don't water and we don't maintain. So it comes out looking a little rough, and we do our best to get it for the next event next weekend. So, but they're doing great. On the cemetery, we've got a standing order of 2,000 square feet of sod whenever they can get it. We laid some today, so the cemetery is looking really, really good if you get a chance to go look at it. We always know there's always room for improvement. I'm not saying it's where we need it, but we're finishing out the sod like we promised, and as they can get it. On the golf end, we just finished another record budget year, which I didn't think we could get busier, but we continue to get busier, and we're planning on spending some money up there. So I'm gonna bring that to you. Or I just might put the police and the fire station up there, and maybe the citizens will pay for it. You know, I don't know. But yeah, we're really really doing well up there, and I think it's time to invest in that property, and it's time to grow, so just wanted to get that in front of you. Any questions?
Just appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Mayor and City Council. Just want to give you an update on the Salem Canal Connector Trail. Some of you may know about it, some of you may not, but want to let you know that there's been 4 agencies that have been working on connecting Payson, Salem, and Spanish Fork for the last 2 years. We've been able to successfully receive funding, and we've designed a 7-mile trail from Payson through Salem and connecting to the Spanish Fork River Trail. So we are really, really, really excited about it. And some more news with that too is the project, the Payson Reach, or the Payson section there along the Salem Canal Road will actually start next week. And so there's 4 different phases in this project. And they determined, just because of the complexity of the design or having easements in place, that Payson section, so from about 1300 East in Payson to get to Elk Ridge Drive, that section there, everything has been secured and is ready to go, and so they're going to start construction on that one first. So it's pretty exciting. I can't remember what the timeline is for the complete build out, but you know, here shortly, residents in South Utah County will be able to recreate 7 miles along a paved 10-foot wide trail going from Payson all the way to the Spanish Fork River Trail. So it's a great thing for recreation in South Utah County. So we'll keep you apprised of the progress. I know that over there, East Payson, Haskellville, Salem is a mess right now because of all the construction. There's road construction projects happening, there's trail projects. There's even a trailhead that's proposed. I'll bring pictures of that or send you pictures of that. They're realigning the intersection of Salem Canal and Elk Ridge Drive to be a 90-degree intersection. They're near the charter school. And as part of that redesign, there will actually be a trailhead park there. So there'll actually be a parking lot, landscaping, a building, restrooms. And so I do want to give a shout out to the other participating, partners in this. And so we've had Spanish Fork, Salem, which has been the lead agency, Utah County, and Payson. So working together, we've been able to create a really good project there, and we hope it'll be, welcomed by the citizens and used heavily. So, any questions?
Good job, Jill. Did the money come from MAG, or where did you get the funding from?
So the funding did. Salem had applied for some transportation improvement or transportation program funds about 2 years ago. And they received funding for it was phased into 3 different phases, and they'd only received their money for 1 phase. By the time they finished designing it, the UDOT had actually looked into the situation and said, let's just get it all the way done. So UDOT was able to find some additional funding to support this. So I think the money's coming from some different sources. So I guess a shout out to, the funding sources as well, but it all came together. A lot of work, but we'll see the results of it soon. So.
Thanks, Jill.
Thank you.
There's no way.
Mayor and Council, some of you might know this. I just wanted to give a brief update and say last Friday, the Utah Transportation Commission met and released or allowed the funding that was appropriated for the Eagle Beltway interchange to be released to UDOT so they can start that funding process and get that underway. So we anticipate them putting out their RFP kind of in July-ish, and the selection committee will be able to go forward on that and get that underway. So that's really exciting.
More good news. That's nice.
I think you did up her a little bit there.
I like the trail too. I can't outdo either one of them, but you've probably seen, we posted it on Facebook, but the project to move the bus stop, that's from 198 just around the turn. We're gonna move that out of the way a little bit. It'll make it better, but they are starting that. UDOT's starting that on the 9th, so next week. And so it'll be a little bit more construction.
As far as the downtown project, they did say in our meeting Tuesday that they would, hopefully have the, not the interchange, what is it,
The intersection.
the intersection, not interchange, the intersection at, First South and Main Street paved next week, and that should help the traffic, especially with the UDOT project starting around that corner. We can open that up to the fire and police, the fire can get out on that side, but they, barring some problem that might crop up, they should have that paid next week. So that should help, the area downtown as well. And then I know Travis is not here, but, the water department did a great job in fixing a major, water main break, and, it happened later in the evening, and they were there till about 3 o'clock, so they got it taken care of. I don't know if it's been paid yet, but they jumped in and got it taken care of. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that sometimes we don't hear about, but they jumped in and did it, and so we appreciate all the staff there.
Hello? Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, Donna? Go ahead.
I just wanted to, oh, nope, now I'm muted. Hang on. Am I not muted? Shoot.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Just said I was muted. I just wanted to report that we're about halfway through our summer reading program. We have about 800 participants. Last time I checked the number. We have an extraordinary number of programs, and my staff does an amazing job at making sure people feel very included at our library. And I feel very challenged to hit that vibrancy thing. So keep tuned. We're gonna work on some vibrancy at the library. So
Did you pick up on that, Donna? That will come. I wanted to step out. You had an activity here at the city center out on the lawn, the adventure related activity. I wanted to come and participate in that, but I wasn't able to get back. So sorry.
It was good.
I'm in Denver right now, so I missed it too. But Molly is amazing and does an incredible job of bringing in a lot of community involvement, and she's very, very well loved and has done a great job.
So Don, this is Brian. I just want to thank you and your library staff. I think you do a great job. One thing that maybe we could do better as a city and help you is tell our story better for what the library does, and in the whole city, we just need to tell our story better too. So
yes,
thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I'm analyzing how we can get the word out a little better too. So thank you.
I think we're moving that way too. So.
And Donna, this is Ryan Rowley. I just want to thank you for what you do with the library. With the space you do have, you do amazing things. You utilize that space. It's a welcoming environment. You work really, really well with what you've got. So thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. We
Okay. Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to council reports. We'll start with Council Christensen.
Well, thank you. Well, this is definitely feeling like a marathon meeting, but we skip a week, it compiles, and I apologize. Couple of things, super excited to hear that we're moving forward and we have funding for the interchange. I think that's will come quickly as it progresses. One thing I was trying to think how to word this properly. A friend of mine teaches a special ed seminary class, and she had brought up the Bridges program with Nebo School District. So Robert and Jill, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a transitional program between high school and long-term career placement. And she felt like Payson could be a great place for that, right there next to the UVU campus with front runner, potential housing, things like that. She's kind of submitted some of those ideas to Nebo School District in hopes of working into that process. Just kind of making you aware of that. If they call you, I think Robert is aware. She maybe contacted you, but as a city, I thought that was a great as a citizen for somebody to reach out and say, hey, I have an idea, let's see if we can make this work. To maybe help those people to find a way to transition into autonomy. One other thing, I did appreciate the comments from the gun range people. They all ran off on us before we had a chance to speak, but they talked about the safety concern, and honestly, the gun range, in my opinion, is a move towards more safety. I went out there shooting a year ago, and I felt like I was putting my own life at risk, and vowed to never go back to West Mountain to fire a gun, because it was chaos and pandemonium and bullets flying everywhere with no control. And so I hope that we can come to a consensus and an agreement where we can make it safe for all to use it out there. I've even had reports that the bullets are hitting the houses on the Genoa side of the road. They're lobbing the bullets over the top, and many of them. And I know that the sound and things are a concern. I went up to the Spanish Fort Gun Club and was surprised at how minimal the sound really was close to the range. You get away from the range and it got loud. Down into the town, you can hear it better. But I hope that we can have that dialogue and that conversation and see if we can come to an understanding and a consensus that we can make all of that work, and that we can provide a safe, reliable place to shoot without infringing upon anybody's constitutional rights. So that's all I have. Keep up the good work.
Brian?
I just got a couple of real quick things here. One is when Payson was spotlighted with EDC Utah, the economic development group that brings in businesses or manufacturing type things. It went really well. They loved the videos, and that's up on the website now, the front page, the video that we did. So thanks for everybody that was in that and did a great job. The blooper one is better though. So
There's a blooper.
yeah, there's a blooper one.
Maybe I wouldn't like to see the blooper.
Anyway, so it went really well. They thought Payson was doing great, and a lot of great things going on. And some of them said, yeah, after that video, we started looking at property in Payson. So the other thing is about the Main Street, when we had the National Main Street person here, and then also the Main Street, the State Main Street Conference was here. That went really well. They got to tour our Main Street. They liked what they saw. I was surprised at the people that came from the different cities for the Main Street Conference. There were some mayors and city council and Main Street directors, but it went really well there. They thought we were doing a great job here. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Jonathan and the mayor and Dave. They helped me out with the situation on Main Street with the business owner, with the location of some trees and some sidewalk, and thank you for hearing us out on that. I want to thank the police and fire and EMS for their good response times. I was with a family that was dealt a tragedy, and they were impressed by how fast both police and fire and ambulance showed up. So thank you for your good response times. I want to put this out there, see if I can get some ideas and help from council and staff. I had a member of the Payson chapter Allion group reach out to me. It's a offshoot of a 12-step program, but they specifically focus on the family members of those that are addicted and getting them support if they have a family member that's addicted to drugs or alcohol. We have our very own chapter. They're currently meeting in the upstairs of the Payson Library, and since that time, membership's gone down because some of them can't do the stairs, and obviously the parking situation's not ideal at the library. They currently rent that from the city. I'm curious if we can brainstorm and come up with any other locations within the city they can meet. I want to maintain a Payson chapter. I think it's a good resource for the residents, and also for the police to say, when they go on those tough calls, to say, hey, here's a resource for you if you're dealing with this, if you have a family member, loved one that's dealing with addiction. So I guess I thought about, I don't know if we have any empty rooms at Wilson Elementary that we could utilize. That came to mind.
Yeah, we do. I think that would work. The TE has several classrooms that are using
Okay.
conferences all the time. What night of the week? Or
A Wednesday night, once a week from 7 to 8.
Do we have to rent, I mean, they have to rent it or could
So
That's like a service.
I agree,
that
and so I
everybody
asked them that
needs.
question, Teresa, and they said, whether they rent it or not, they're still gonna pay the money, but it's not very much. I think they pay the library, I think it's like $12 a month. So we are doing them a service, but they do build that into their budget.
We didn't charge them. They just do that voluntarily. We don't charge anybody for the building use.
Okay.
But
Thank
they
you.
felt like they wanted to contribute that. Cause yeah, we don't charge.
More
Okay,
power to them.
thank you. Yeah. So, so Carl, maybe I'll get with you and we'll plan something. Thank you.
Maybe not tomorrow, but.
No, I know. We'll get together in the coming weeks. So thank you guys. And if you have any other ideas, please let me know. I
He's gonna
wanna,
be at your front porch, you
Yeah.
can.
Tomorrow at 6.
yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you guys for your support. And this is a good resource. I want to maintain a Payson chapter for this. This is something that's needed. They specifically cater to the needs of loved ones that have addiction issues and help them navigate that. The last thing, tomorrow, happy birthday, America. I love the United States of America. This is not a perfect country, but it's absolutely the best country on the world. And I'm so thankful to live here and serve here. And thank you to all of those service members that have defended our freedom. And I love this time of year, this holiday. And thank you to all the staff in Payson City and to our fire, EMS, and veterans. I love America. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
And I'll say this, the way you just said, I'm very thankful for the city, we live in the state, we live in the country. I might make real quick mention before we go on to another council, I did get some information from Mark. Yeah, Mark, help me. Weldon, about his buildings there on the north end, and he's very excited about some companies that he's feels like he's been able to get in those buildings, so he feels like the speed with the
Those are the ones across from the power plant.
Hopefully that just.
Okay, I echo what Ryan and the mayor said about America. I was brought up in a very, very patriotic family, and so one of my passions is America and the history of it and maintaining our freedoms and liberties. And but I also am grateful for American music, and going to the rock festival this weekend was so fun. I was able to go on Saturday evening, and those bands were so fun and so good. And we heard covers from Van Halen and Huey Lewis and the News and even the Moody Blues. So I was delighted. It was amazing. So I encourage anyone to go next year. It was super fun. And thanks to Janine too. She was there the entire time from Friday and all day Saturday, and she did an amazing job. And just thanks to all of our staff as usual. You guys are all amazing. So thanks so much.
You took my win. So, me and I had a long conversation. It was really good. I was there earlier, later. So I got to hear the younger people, like 15 years old, just amazed at what they can do with those guitars and drums. And she does a really good job. And so do the people who help take care of the art. I really appreciate them. I had just a few things I wanted to talk about. The food trucks. I know we want food trucks, but I also think we need food trucks that don't just take, but actually give back. I'm just gonna get like Ricky has given back for years since he's been here. Are the others giving back? I mean, are they?
I don't think we can require that. It'd be nice to create an atmosphere to help that.
It's like, I feel like he's tried so hard, and then I see these, I mean, they're open until 10 o'clock, and that one at Napa is just like filled all the time, and it's just like, are they giving back? you know, are they paying their taxes? Are they, because if you pay cash, you get a discount. So they don't have to report that, but anything that's on a charge card, you get a 1099 for that, so they're gonna have to report it. I'm just wondering, I'm just kind of looking out for Ricky. Because I know that, you know, there's other things going on. I think when you start a business like that and then your business drops and the government comes in and says, hey, what's going on here? Why is it so much less? I just think we need to monitor that. I don't know how we do that. Do we just keep letting them come in?
Nothing we have a choice. It's a state regulated,
So Teresa, I agree with you, at least far as making sure they're paying their sales tax
That's
to our
right.
city
Yeah.
and not someplace. So I want to follow up the state and find out exactly how that
That's-
works.
Well, that's what I was wondering how that worked too, because I know there's been issues and I'm not gonna get into that here. I just, you know, I've just been told that they're not paying their fair share of taxes and.
There are some loopholes in that. We talked about it. I was surprised because we were learning with my wife having a food truck, where those taxes actually go and where they don't, so.
to the extent we can control it.
Yeah, okay. Another thing, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, because the way I look at it, if they aren't paying taxes here, then they're competing against somebody that has brick and mortar
Exactly,
building.
which
So,
is me,
yeah,
and I have to pay lots of taxes.
I agree with you. when you look at it.
I don't sell food, but boy, I have a transaction for everybody that comes in. And they don't. They just take the cash and then there's no record of it.
So, yeah.
Well, I don't know if I want to be on record, but I think it's something that needs to be looked into.
Sure.
And then I have a question. Do we mow the lawn down at the industrial park? Because every time I go by there, I see us mowing. Why do we do that? I mean, I just have a question.
We maintain the corridors.
The grass along the mow strips in the industrial park.
Because they don't want to do it?
No, because it's city right.
Okay.
Yeah, we put it in that way, I'd say, what, 18 years ago or something, just kind of like the main corridors or 1400 south, that'll be mowed, that's just. Put it in before most of the businesses were there as well. That's kind of the, you know, invitation to try to have it look good.
Can we like to go down there by Liberty Safe? She's seen how yellow the lawn is, because I think it's just watering the road.
We can look at.
No, the answer to that is no. Just like that, like, we do it from the golf course, we do that corridor, and it's a mess down there. Like right now, we're struggling with just the irrigation, and it's hard, it's a lot more difficult than what people.
Oh, no, I know, I see that.
Yeah.
And I don't know who to call when I can see it watering the road. It's just like,
You can call me, yeah, if it's, I don't know about Liberty State, but anywhere through the industrial park, yeah, we can get it handled.
well, and especially right there on the corner, so you have Liberty Safe right here, and then on the other side where the house is at, that thing's always watering the road. It hardly, I don't know, I wonder sometimes if they come and they mess with it, not anybody from
Yeah, but
Payson,
just, yeah, absolutely.
just people that are messing around because it's just shooting out, just on the road.
Yeah.
Have we ever looked at just eliminating grass down there and do
I
something
wondered that,
different?
but maybe like wildflowers or something.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about like zero staking and stuff, but.
That'd be wonderful.
But I think we need to keep it so that it keeps the road in that area cool, because I thought about it, that you don't want rocks, because that's just gonna make it hotter. You want something that you really don't have to take care of, but it looks good.
Yeah, and the perception of putting rocks down and not taking care of it, it's high maintenance. when you-
I know, but it's still,
Yeah,
it lets it be a lot hotter.
Yeah, I agree.
So we
I
gotta
mean,
keep
I
it
like grass,
green.
but
I'm just thinking, well, even if we went with the St. George grass instead of the grass we have, because it takes 1/10 of the water.
Yeah.
And it still stays green. I mean, yeah, it's not luscious like our lawn is, but it still stays green, and then we're still having the green effect in, you know, that's going against the blacktop.
We planted a lot of grass like that up at, like going into the RV park.
Uh-huh.
It's just a hardier, less, but yeah, we can look into that definitely.
I was just, I just sit and think about this because I see it and I just like, that just doesn't look good. And I realize we don't have enough people to run around and check those things every day. But I will call you if I see it. again. I thought about going to fix it myself. I
Please
thought,
do.
well,
Or fix it, if you wanna fix it yourself, that'd be awesome.
I don't have a little thing with me. And then on the across the, and I don't think we own that, but the noxious weeds, you know, that are Utah noxious weeds, the thistles across the street from the park out there in the north where we have the by Royal. Like they've knocked it down just a little bit, but then that whole field is just those are bad.
That's UDOT property.
So what do we do?
I need to reach out to them and they have a shed that's responsible for it. So I'll reach out.
Yeah, cause it's.
Come spray that.
They're
We need to
really
mow
thick.
it.
We need to make sure that they're mindful of us when we're, as far as celebration especially. Make
Well,
sure that's-
yeah, and Intermountain Nutrition is the same thing. They're just growing weeds. And they're. like-
Started with the grass field, now.
Yeah, and now it's just weeds. It's pretty ugly, but they've got them along their fence lines. They need to cut those things down. And I don't know who gets in contact with those people that pay thousands of dollars to spray to kill those things so they don't come into my ground.
I'm not saying they're a good weed, I just said that. One other thing, Jonathan back there, I don't know if you can get this back to Travis or whatever, but I'm noticing that our PI water pressure is really down. I don't know if it's dirty water, plugged filters, but I'm getting a lot of complaints. And as we start talking about impact fees, if infill developments are impacting those water lines, I don't know why we can't charge impact fees to figure out how to solve that problem. So all of you there out there listening to me, it was built half the size it needed to be. That's why we water every other day, but it's getting smaller and smaller the bigger we get, and it needs to be fixed, or we're gonna have a mutiny on our hand.
There's a lot of groundwater coming.
You can't, yeah, I mean,
As you're looking at sprinklers.
my sprinklers only go half as far as they used to, and I can't very well put in more valves, so I'm actually looking at a booster pump at this point to try to water my lawn.
Yeah, I'll pass that along.
Thanks.
Wonderful. You
Sorry,
ready?
I don't need.
But
You're
just,
fine.
we
Ready to
do
move on?
charge
Go.
infill developments. They
Okay.
still pay the impact fees for all the utilities, so.
Yeah, no, I understand they do that, but we've talked and I'm like, well, continuing new growth can only be charged for impact fees that affect because of new growth. And I think that we're overlooking that they are taxing old infrastructure, and it drives me crazy that the state tells us, well, you can't charge old infrastructure repairs. Well, then we're not gonna let them build their houses in there because the old infrastructure won't handle it. So that's my argument, was more at the state level.
So, well, we can add CIP projects to our impact fee facilities plans. And so looking at that, would just be to have whoever takes care of our master plans, they identify CIP projects and we can put those on an impact fee facilities plan. And in that way we can use impact fees to pay for system upgrades.
Well, and I know we've got some developers out there. I'm not trying to hit you guys harder. You just gotta be able to keep things wet, so. And I do appreciate you that have stuck out. This is a long meeting, so.
Moving on.
I'm not gonna
That's
take
okay.
offense to it. I keep
No, no.
interjecting.
Please
Somebody's
don't
gonna shut me
take
up.
offense, but we need to go to F, action items. Number one, resolution amendment to the Payson City fee schedule. Dave?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Kathy, they've had a few payroll issues tonight, so they were trying to get it because of the holiday tomorrow, and I hope they got it. I haven't seen them come back down to the office, but, Mayor Council, this is just some changes, the fee schedule that, some of these, like the first section, the culinary water rates and some of the new connections in the second section, those are things that the fee schedule was
different than what the city's been charging, so we wanted to make those consistent. The first one under the sewer rate, we did get notification from Salem City that they upped their rates, and so we're changing that because those residents out in Arrowhead that it goes to Salem. We just didn't want to subsidize that, so we changed that. On the bottom, we talked a little bit about distributed energy, in our work session, but this just makes the base fee the same as what we approved a few weeks ago with the power rates. We're still waiting for the full study to get done on the solar and the distributed energy, but we felt like that the base rate ought to be the same as what we adopted last month with the power rates that we adjusted. So those are the changes in green. Kathy would probably explain it a little better, but I'm pinch hitting for her. So I don't know if you have any questions.
Yeah, a couple. One is if we already approved the base rate changes and the change for power, doesn't that automatically go to the fee schedule, or you have to do something separate?
We prepared a fee schedule based on the recommendations. We put everything except solar. So it wasn't reflected in the fee schedule that you approved.
Okay. The other one was on the culinary rates. Looks like we're just going to the base rate, $1.29 per 1,000 gallons. But one time, didn't we have it so as you use more water, you to kind of try to save water?
It is tiered. You see the tiered rates. The change here is that the meters that are read on a 6-month basis.
Oh, okay.
It was
just that one.
It was just that one.
Okay. Okay.
The rest are in there for a tiered. It was just that one, for some reason, was blank. And so we wanted to insert that number. And so, yeah, we do have a tiered rate system. The state mandates that now.
So
So
Dave, what is the rate going up to the people out there in Arrowhead? For the sewer?
if you see here, just on the second, we've been charging, or the same has been charging $65.11, and it's going up to $65.78.
Oh, so
It's not a big, and then the usage rate per 1,000 gallons was $1.69. It's going to $1.71. So it's like 3 cents more, but we're just passing on what Salem City notified us that they're changing that rate to. So.
Okay. Any more council discussion? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the amendments to the Payson City fee schedule as discussed.
I'll second it.
Okay, that work's been seconded. Roll call vote starting with Council Pyatt,
Yes.
Council Moss,
Yes.
Council Rowley,
Yes.
Council Hewitt.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 2, resolution amendments to the Villages at Arrowhead Park, Flat K Development Agreement. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have a presentation I'm going to show and then turn some time over to the applicant if they're here. Here. Okay. So just to orient you a little bit with the area, if you're not aware, this is an aerial Google map. I'd like to deal. Nope, but I pretend one on TV. So this is just kind of zooming into the Villages area there. And the Plat K is this one that I've highlighted there in yellow. So that's the one in question tonight. So as the mayor mentioned, this is to amend the development agreement for Plat K. The amendment would include the removal of any instances of condominium units. And then this amendment would allow the applicant to consolidate the condominiums into one single parcel. At that, I will leave time for the applicant to state their stuff they want to say. You obviously had in the packet their letter of intent with that, but they may have some more additional insight for you. So I'll let them come up at this time.
Please come up.
I want you to know the address on that slide is wrong.
That's on the very next slide, just so you know, so
But
teaser,
it's fine.
teaser trailer.
I know, I just. He said he wasn't any good at it.
Sir, yes, my name is Bob Bielik, and we were with the developers because it was done as a larger development. But we were the builders and the owners, the current owners of the property. I really don't have anything additional. We wrote a letter stating the reasons why we would ask for the change. And if there's any questions pertaining to that, that's really.
Council, any questions? I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Yeah, Jonathan, is there any downside to doing this? Looks like going from rental condos to one big rental unit, there'd be more control, but is there any downside that you see?
To having condos that can be purchased individually to a full rental?
I'm sorry, Jonathan.
Also, Michael, if you could answer that too.
I can hear it. Yeah.
So your question is if there's a negative to going from for sale condos to a rental apartment complex, basically. I could not answer that question. I don't know if somebody in planning can or not.
Robert and Michael, maybe you could.
I think it's a good move.
See, engineers don't know everything. That was a low lob. I would say just to opine on that, this is not market-based or anything like that. But as a general rule, if you have a larger complex, sometimes it's much better managed by one individual owner. If the intention is for it to be rental property, then having one consolidated management of that property is better than having 40 different owners / managers, so it just creates a better situation for both management, upkeep, maintenance, all of those different things. I think the only downside is everybody wants to own a piece of property or a piece of air, whatever that might be. And so it does eliminate that opportunity, but we can provide other opportunities elsewhere.
This eliminates home ownership in the future for these specific, residents. And so I guess I'm trying to see the positive here. I mean, they were built with the intent to be single family, to be dwellings, to be purchased. And now we want to go back and make that one big group of rentals.
And what was just stated is the reason being, we have a full-time maintenance, just so you know, full-time maintenance on site every day. And full-time manager there. But what people were doing were coming to buy, they wanted to buy them from us for the purpose of renting. And that was it. And we had people who would buy entire buildings for that very reason. And we just thought that creates a mess. Just like the gentleman just said, it creates you're gonna have some renters, some owners, but it really creates a mess for us and the city. When you have all these multiple owners, you can have 90 different owners, and they're all half of them are rented. So it really, we looked at it as we might as well just keep it under one umbrella and take care of the property.
Are you with Fieldstone or with which builder?
The builder was Eagle Summit Construction.
Eagle Summit.
We're our own entity.
Okay.
So we're not part of a larger national builder.
From city aspect, I think one owner is a good thing, rather than describe what you did. Said, hey, the company buy a certain amount and then we lose control. So
yeah, and that's what I wrote. And I wrote the letter that went to the city, and the city attorney made the changes to the development agreement.
I guess, go ahead, Brian. I guess in the future, though, we see this happens. And so what can we do different? How can we build it differently that it doesn't turn into this of corporations coming in and buying dozens of them, turning into rentals? And so I think this hurts the affordability aspect of housing in Payson. And it takes home ownership out of the hands of more people. And so we need to learn from this moving forward of if this kind of building attracts people to come in and buy a bunch of them to rent them out, I don't want any more of them.
I understand.
That's what I
And
agree.
I think the people who are buying are maybe the builders that are neighbors, that they're doing townhomes.
Yes.
Then you have rentals.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are these all built out now?
Yes, they are.
Good. And what percentage of them, do you know? I don't expect you to know, do you know how many percentage of them are owner versus rental?
There's no, we put the kibosh on selling them because so many people were approaching us saying they wanted to buy them for rental purposes.
Okay.
So we just cut it right there. And
So you
decided-
still own all of them?
We still own 100% of them. So we manage them. You can come to us if there's a problem.
Will you maintain?
We have a full-time maintenance on site. We drive the property. The owners are local. Everyone's local. We have people who come to the facility once a week. And we just drove it before we came over.
Do you intend to maintain ownership of them?
We plan on it.
Okay, I think it's a step in the right direction as you get those compartmentalized problems. You know, you get one owner that says in this building, well, there's no rules, you're not dealing with any of the problems. It becomes a problem overall and can drive the value of them down. I love the idea of having the opportunity to own, but I mean, I can see the logic to it. And to me, it's a problem caught early, and I appreciate that. I'm a big proponent of the landlord program.
Yeah, and I think if you look at Utah County, you're gonna see this across the board. Especially because there's two large universities here, right? So you're gonna see this continually.
Just don't charge your renters for parking and we'll be good.
Okay.
We run into that problem and end up in the streets because they.
No, we,
charge
we,
too much, so.
and the one thing we do have is a very good ratio for parking anyway. So unless there's somebody outside parking, we're above the, what the ordinance was.
We just want to create an atmosphere where they will park.
Inside, yeah. That's all we're asking for. You issue parking passes, whatever it is, just make it conducive to them wanting to park in there.
Okay, any further discussion? Now I'm ready for a motion.
I can make a motion that we approve the resolution to the amendments to the Village of Arrowhead Park Plat K Development Agreement.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion seconded, roll call vote, starting with Council Christensen,
Yes.
Council Hewitt,
Yes.
Council Rowley,
No.
Council Moss,
No.
Council.
I don't like what's doing, but I see what these other things going on down at the other condominiums, the same situation, and the place down there, they live down there. So
Your vote?
I don't think this will solve it.
I have to do a yes,
Okay.
because, no, I totally agree.
Oh, you're fine.
The motion carries. Okay, going on number 3, ordinance request to apply the RMO-1 to the 2-family residential overlay at approximately 295 north, 300 east to allow for duplex and twin homes. Michael?
Mayor and council, this presentation will be both this and the next one on the agenda.
Number 3 and number 4.
And then
We
I would
will
just.
need to act on number 4 first.
Yes, and I'll explain that, but ultimately, the RMO designation will not be possible without the infill overlay designation first of all. So this is the beautiful property in question now, and I trust that everybody can recognize it from these Google photos. The applicant is very excited to change the beauty of this environment. As known previously, this was an illegal business in a residential zone. They had idling semi-trucks during various hours of the day. There's debris, junk, things like that all over the place. And so the applicant is wanting to do something significantly different. So the RMO overlay allows to have twin homes and duplex style homes in a single family residential zone. So this is a concept drawing of the proposed twin home unit that they would be considering there. On the left-hand side, that is the layout of the lots. So you can see the larger square lot would be where the existing home is now, and that would remain. And then the smaller two would be where this twin home style home would be. And it is a twin home, meaning that they would be separate ownerships, so.
And so would there be 4 of them on these?
It'd be a grand total of 3 units. So this twin home would have 2 units and then the existing home. The existing home will stay.
Really?
That is the honest truth. The bank would not let them tear it down, and it wasn't in a position where they could split it into 4. Otherwise, there'd be 2 brand new twin homes on there. Or a big
Much
home
improved from otherwise.
Yeah.
because of the
People that live there, they don't fix the other one up.
The house.
The other one
trading
is-
on the value of the.
I'll interject here a little bit, and as a disclaimer, just so that the public is aware, my cousin is one of the people involved in this. He's actually a second cousin, quite. Anyway, they bought the property 5 times. Well, I just don't want anybody to say, well, he was saying this in defense of a relative. Okay, that I'm just, yeah, they will, but, they bought the property with the intent that they were going to either do 2 custom homes or whatever there, tear the one down, make it work. The bank wouldn't let them. They says, well, we won't lend you on this because there's the value of the property empty wasn't justifiable to the bank, is what the issue was. So they have painted it and working on changing out the windows, trying to fix it up, make it look as nice as possible. This over here is where they kind of make their money. In truth, they're just to the east of them. There is a twin home and a triplex on the adjacent lot. To the north of them is a new twin home duplex that's under construction. So it's not that it doesn't fit in the area, and it's a 10,000 time upgrade from what it was. So
should I go back on this?
we're well aware of that. Spent lots of time in meetings talking about it. So that's why there's just the one, and the other house is, it has a really nice big front yard on the other house. Is what it is, so.
Michael, will you go back one slide? Let's see. So the house is to the left in red.
Would be on the red.
So where you see this dot, that's where the house is. This was a shed structure, or is a shed structure. If it's still there, that would be taken down. All of the other things, obviously, there would be taken out.
It's all gone now. There's nothing
Is it?
left on the house.
Oh, wow.
You can drive by it.
It's way different.
It's way different. Is the developer here?
Yes. he's here.
Yes, this is Colton's partner. I'm saying that.
Okay, any more questions on number 3? If not, we'll move on to number 4.
Okay. So the infill overlay allows us to do things exactly like what's being proposed tonight, where we can potentially relax the setbacks, we can relax the minimum lot size, things like that. So the applicant's proposing a few things that would require the infill overlay. You can see in the red bubble here, this lot is only 4380, I believe. 4356, the minimum lot size for a, that's square feet, by the way, the minimum lot size in the RMO would be 4,500. So it's about 150 off of square footage is what he's proposing. Also, you can't really see this here, but this is 48 feet of frontage, and the minimum frontage in the RMO is 50. And then finally, the existing home is right here, and it's oriented toward the street this way. And so this area right here that's bubbled would be its backyard. But that's only, I believe it's about 15 feet. No, that's only about 10 feet there to what would the new property line would be. Our rear yard setbacks are 25 feet. But as you can see, there is a lot of yard here. There's a lot of front yard. This would potentially just be a rear yard because we're orienting it from the street this way, and that's how the front yard is oriented. But there's a lot of yard space there. And so they're requesting the infill overlay to reduce this setback for the rear yard there. And then for the twin home units, this is approximately, I think it's 19.5 feet. 19.8, I believe. So the rear yard setback is 25 again in the rear, and so they would just be requesting a reduction down to.
Where's the driveways for the twin homes?
The driveways you can see would be right here.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
So the infill overlays needed as it's presented to us now. If the applicant wanted to potentially change it, or if that council does not approve the infill overlay, they could potentially modify and potentially not need this. But this made sense, especially whereas the existing home needs to stay there. So anyways, that is the reason for the request of the infill overlay. And with this approval, therefore, it would enable that the RMO could be approved as well.
This would allow, this is a unique situation, and would it be duplicated anymore?
You mean it's setting a precedent, or?
Yes.
No, the infill overlay is a tool that we can use on a case-by-case basis. And so it's at the council's discretion of where they feel it's most appropriate to use that. So to answer that, it wouldn't be setting a precedent, but yes, it could be used elsewhere, and it does get used elsewhere. That's what it's for.
And that would be up to the council.
Correct.
What did planning commission think?
Planning commission recommended a positive approval on both of these requests, both the RMO and the infill overlay.
Unanimously?
Unanimously. They did have one caveat that they would recommend having a porch forward design instead of the garage forward. You can see the garage is, I don't know how many feet forward from the front porches there. That was their only recommendation. The applicant's willing to consider that, but at the same time, it's not something we necessarily require in a situation like this, but it is a legislative action, and you could potentially require something like that.
That would look so much nicer.
Can you?
Having the setback of the garages and having it just looks so much nicer.
Building standpoint, for sure.
I realize it is. and
Can you go
probably
back
have
one
to
slide? I
make
have a quick question.
sure-
Not that, no, go the other way. Go the other way, that's ancient history, I didn't realize it's done the other way. So the house, I know that up the street, we had a similar situation where the guy had added on to his house and it put him in the wrong setbacks. What would be opposed to changing the address so the front is?
We explored that with the applicant. I mean, potentially the address could be changed, but not the usability. If I recall right from talking to the applicant, there's a bedroom right here, so it wouldn't be ideal to actually put a front door there. So the most ideal entrance to the home is still from that front side.
I just wanted to explore that. If it was a matter of cutting a door and putting a porch on the front of it, that, you know, it made sense. The other house in question had 2 doors, one on each side. All I did was change the address. Y'all know which one I'm talking about, but okay. I don't see any problems with it, and I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. As far as I'm
One thing I would add is with these approvals, the applicant would have to finish the subdivision process with the staff. So.
What, the builders, what's the square footage of the units? What are you guys planning for each house? Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about the design and square footage?
I'm Jared White. Thank you for considering this. So we're planning, I think they're right about 1,600 square feet, and the intent is affordability. So like, the reason why we chose the twin home route, where we could sell both to a new family, new home buyer, is because we think we can build them at and meet the requirement for the Utah State $20,000 0% grant or loan for the $450,000 or less new construction. So we're trying to make it the most affordable as possible for a new family or first-time home buyer. And so they'd be, I think they're right at 1,600 square feet, if I remember right, and then they'd have an unfinished basement to be able to, they could build out as the family grew if they wanted to stay there, or.
They're set up for main level living as far as laundry and everything.
Yep,
for main level.
yep. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely be an addition to it.
3. And then another note, to go back to the addressing, the back door of that property that is going to stay actually faces south. So they're not walking into
The 10 foot.
the 10-foot setback. The back door actually comes to the
So they're wanting a
south.
big yard there.
Yeah.
And so your hope's just to fix that up and sell it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, we're in the process. It's totally fine, but it's always a good, fun project, so.
So I would suggest you look at another bank, because I think you could make this a lot nicer. And I've been in banking for a long time, and there's no reason that you couldn't get construction on this other lot and tear that thing down.
I agree with you, it's possible, but the problem is the value and the cost that it would take us to get there. We'd be upside down in lots, basically.
As far as tear down of the house.
Yeah, our purchase price of the property and then the tear down of the house, just the numbers didn't make sense.
So even construction, a new house on it,
Mhm.
you're upside down.
Yeah, so where we could do it on half of it and remove the cost and all the concern of the demo of the home. It just made sense this way a lot more than the other way around.
I just like take a big cat.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy, right?
Accidentally bump into
Yeah.
it when you're.
Well, the other good thing too is and it doesn't open up two additional homes, but this home will also sell for a lot less than, I mean, it'll probably be around the high 300s, maybe up to the 400 mark. And so it opens up another opportunity for a first time home buyer for another affordable home where, yes, it's old and hopefully we can fix any problems that exist now so that they don't have problems in the future, right? But then you have another new first time home buyer opportunity there on a remodeled home that is in decent shape, so.
And I just want to encourage you, you're coming into an established neighborhood and you're definitely making an improvement on what was there, but I just encourage you, please leave something that you'll be proud of too.
Yes.
Right? For years down the road, use good quality materials, good subs.
Yes.
And just make sure that you pay it forward to those
Yeah.
homeowners that purchase these twin homes.
It's definitely not always easy. And we've had a couple hiccups with our contractor that's even just repairing this house, but I actually have a really big background in construction. That's what I grew up doing. From doing concrete in middle school down in Gunnison, Utah, to building 252 unit apartment complexes up in Salt Lake. So I take a lot of pride in what I do, and I agree with you. Like, I don't want to ever turn over a property to someone that I know is going to be a problem. So that is one of my important things that I focus on and try to make, like, improve, like you're saying, right? Like, I don't want to come in and try to just make a buck and turn away a horrible property. So the intent is to help, and that's why I've been so thoughtful in trying to make also like the affordability aspect, the new home buyer, because I do believe in like the power of owning a home and the long-term value it brings to a lot of people, right? And the impact it's had in my life at such a young age. So I try to just take all of my beliefs and put them into the projects I work on.
Yeah, it's you're obviously in it to make money, and then no, we don't not do that. All of us we work to make money, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, just remember our reputation. It can go really fast, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for what you told us. Just be cognizant of that. I'm grateful you're thinking of the quality of what you've done. So thank
Thank you for being here.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Okay, unless there's any other discussion, I'm ready for a motion.
So we need to make a motion on
Number four.
first, right? I'll make a motion that we approve the request to apply an IO infill overlay approximately 295 north, 300 east to allow infill development for potential reduced lot sizes, setbacks, and street frontage.
I second.
Okay. Have a motion been seconded, roll call vote, Council Christensen,
Yes.
Council Hill? Yes. Council Rowley?
Yes.
Council Moss?
No.
Council Wyatt?
Yeah.
Okay, motion carries, thank you. Okay, moving on to number 3. We've already had that presented to us, is there a motion or further discussion on that?
Yeah, one quick question. So if they still have to come back for the subdivision approval, do we have to put a caveat in with this motion that they have to do that or?
No, they'll be working with staff on that. That's
We won't see
administrative.
that, that's no longer.
Right. Right.
Okay, ready for a motion then?
Mayor, I make a motion that the request to apply the RMO 1 2-family residential overlay approximately 295 north, 300 east to allow for duplexes and twin homes be approved.
Okay. Is there a
I'll second that.
Okay, we have motion seconded, the roll call vote starting with Council Wyatt,
Yes.
Council Moss.
No.
Council Rowley,
Yes.
Council Hill.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, on to number 5, ordinance amendments to Title 13 zoning appendix A.
Okay, so you should have had a handout in your packet detailing the various items. I'm going to close out this presentation and open up that handout. It's not extensive. We got about when you print it out, it's about 15 pages and we got through about 5. So we will be coming back to you with more, but we're trying to make this modernized and utilize it in a manner that we're seeing development patterns. Part of this was initiated by an individual that requested to have gunsmithing in the central commercial zone. And so that was one thing that was changed in this request. So let me stop sharing this and I'll open up the packet there.
Question.
Yes.
Robert? Is there any way, this is bothering me now with the condos, is there any way, like, if they were to do that, that they could, I don't know, I know that we can't, I know they can't do that. How, I just feel like they're gonna rent anyway. And I know what he's trying to do, it just bothers me, like, because there's probably some way to stop all those people from buying them and having night owners.
You can deed restriction, but it has to be done.
Well,
So
that's what I'm
that was
saying.
the other thing, like, as we're going through the zoning process, so this is something to think about as we're looking at future development. If we require deed restriction, that would obviously be a way to encourage homeownership at, moderate income housing levels or things like that. The other thing that we can look into are percentages of homeownership and owner occupancy. Those are different things that, as part of a development agreement, the developer could proffer as in the zone change process that you can consider as a council. And that might make it so, you might have something that you're concerned about is rezoning or zoning to a higher density or even to a residential area. But when they provide those types of community benefits, then it offsets the mitigated or the impacts that some of those housing opportunities provide. So those are things that we can consider as we move forward.
One other thing that I had a friend that ended up in a condo complex like this over in Springville behind Barlow's. And he was on their HOA board and everything and then tried to sell it. And they had superseded a percentage of the homes that were actually owner occupied versus rentals. And the banks wouldn't lend on them. So they couldn't sell them. So all of a sudden the homeowner was stuck with a property that they couldn't do anything with. And so they had to change their bylaws and put a moratorium on them and force everybody out that was renting. And so to alleviate that problem, taking that from condo units to an apartment complex, that can't happen. They're assuming more of a risk. They have to have more financial capital up front in order to operate them. And so as you're worried about those trying to get into them, you could get homeowners that would buy it right out of the bat and then not be able to sell it and be stuck living there forever because they really can't get rid of the house. So,
or they might not, capitalize on all of the the appreciation of that. Particularly good.
The biggest way to control this is through zoning.
Correct.
That is the best way to do it. However, in this case, we did look at, they have a master HOA for the whole area. And there was nothing in that one that restricted anybody from renting. So this could happen anywhere in that whole development. And then the other thing was, these guys, because they hadn't sold any, essentially they hadn't even created an HOA as of yet. Their HOA would have had to be a subpart of the master, but they have never got there because they couldn't sell them. And so that's the other way to do it internally, but you could run into an issue where because of too many or exceeding or coming up against that number, that you could be restricted by a bank to get funding for them. So there is risk in all of it. There is ways to control through zoning. But we also have to think about the idea of moderate income housing and availability and stuff like that. This does take away from that by changing it over, but there's not a lot we can do. The economy and the interest rates are really bad right now as far as that goes. And it's just making it so people are afraid to buy or can't buy.
Thank you, guys.
Michael, we're back on track.
Sorry.
You're fine. They did mean it. Address.
Okay, so I'm not gonna go through each one of these. I think I'm gonna scroll and you tell me to stop if you have a question. In green, we did the added, and then in red were the strikeouts of things that we felt were no longer needed, or we felt as if it was a little too specific and we wanted to be a little more general on the types of uses, things like that. So I'm gonna scroll this and you let me know if we wanna stop.
Let's see how fast you can scroll.
I'm only gonna listen to stuff from this keyboard here. Any concerns thus far?
Keep going.
Okay, scrolling faster.
We have a copy of this.
Yep, you do have a copy of this. You can see the golf driving ranges indoor was an added item. Basically, they're like, arcades for golfing, but we figured we should probably address that in our code somewhere. You can see right there, approval and textile manufacturing. We just added some text there. We didn't feel as if curtains and draperies were that important to call out specifically, so we just all-purpose textile manufacturing. This one had a lot of discussion about, but we came to the conclusion that we could strike out number 2 and number 4, and then just call all of those things clothing and apparel. And you could see in number 2, it said not sexually oriented clothing and accessories. Well, we've got all of our sexually oriented clothing and accessories right there. Scroll. Sorry. Everybody wants to go home. Gas stations with convenience store, we added that one in. The logic was, for example, Walmarts and Costco's, things like that, oftentimes don't have a convenience store with some of their gas facilities, and we thought that would be appropriate to add that in our community. Scrolling faster, you can see there's various things that have been removed and a handful of things that have been added. But like I wanted to mention, gunsmithing was one that we added in the central commercial zone in case we scroll past it and not see it.
We can't have a zoo?
Chocolate down there.
You want to go back to the zoo?
It's okay.
You'll notice we didn't change anything on the zoo. So you look and there is nothing nowhere where it can go. So I don't even know why it was listed.
Well, maybe because somebody will try to put it in somewhere else.
Perhaps.
It's not allowed.
And I think that is the extent of what we've gone through at this point. So any questions?
Looks good to me.
Thanks, guys, for taking this time to do this.
This will be coming back when it's updated.
No, so we're bringing this to you for approval now. It's had the public hearing. We will bring it back as we look at further sections in this appendix, so.
Okay, number 5, and this was more discussion, I'm ready for.
Mayor, I motion that we approve the amendments to Title 13 zoning appendix A.
I second.
Okay, we got a second, we have a competition. Okay, tab number, roll call vote, starting with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Hughes.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Hyde.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to number 6, resolution to remove 4 Bay property as surplus.
2016, and I'll leave it at that, council asked to have the property known as Forbay put out for surplus and possibly sold. It never sold, and so we are asking today to have that rescinded. That original, I'll tell you the date on it, November 2nd, 2016. That's it.
This is the first step to preserving Forbay. This is so important.
Yep.
And I'm so glad that Jill brought this to my attention. Thank you, Jill. And this is the first step to get it straight on the books. We're gonna keep Forbay, we're gonna preserve it. We're gonna make it a recreation hub that is gonna be amazing for decades.
Okay, any discussion other than what we said? I think it's great. Okay, ready for a motion?
Mayor, I motion that we remove Forbay property as surplus property.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to second, all roll call vote, starting with Council Hyde.
Yes.
Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
Council Hewlett.
Yes.
Council Christensen.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries. Yeah, we can go fast when we want to. Number 7, resolution, settlement agreement with South Utah Valley Electric Service District, which is taking a long time.
Council, we have come to a settlement agreement with SESD. It's been a long road, but we appreciate the cooperation, and it's in your packet. I can project it up if you want to go through some line items, but it's lengthy, but it's I think it's a fair agreement on both sides. The SESD board approved it on Thursday, so
I feel that we've come a long way, but they approved it. So
yeah, it's been-
I think we just need to move on.
we would recommend you approve it. Once it's approved, we have 5 years to take over all the customers, which is a pretty big lift, especially like the biggest annexation is Redbridge, goes clear out in the landfill. We've got to get facilities out there, but we have, there's some annexations that are going to be fairly easy.
We only have 5 years to.
We have 5 years. And so a lot of the annexations we get done very quickly. We'll probably take over the VA Center within a month or so. And there's several others that we can get done. So Sean knows we got a budget for some of those things and get them ready to go. But we're excited to come to the end here.
When did we decide on the all the townhomes on 1700 West on the west side of the road?
They'll be changed over as well. Yeah, we worked out a solution. Yeah, and they'll probably be turned over fairly quickly because they're pretty easy.
And Sean, you like the numbers?
Yeah.
Okay. That's right. Okay. Well, I'm grateful to SCSD for drawing this to the conclusion as well. This has been drawn on for far too long. I'm excited to move forward and hopefully we can be nicer neighbors in the future.
Since about 6.5 years.
We're hoping so.
So Dave, in the future, any annexation, we take them over as covered, there's no question on what's going.
Yeah, for the next 5 years in this agreement, if there's any new annexation, the number's already set for existing customers. Like if they annex a piece of property that has one home in, it's $15,500. The developer will pay that. We get the facilities that run to that home. If there's a facility, like SESD, if there's a facility that that serves other customers that are not part of the city, we don't take that over, but if it's just a distribution line that goes to that home, that's part of what that payment is. It takes the transformer and stuff like that.
And what happens after 5 years?
After 5 years, then it would revert back to the state law, which it does, but then there would, if we don't come up with another agreement, then it's, you know, you do an appraisal and we can contest the appraisal. There is a method in the state law. We felt like this would be easier if we just had a number. And then everybody, if anybody wants to annex it upfront, that's what you have to pay. And so I think it will be a good solution, and in 5 years, it'll just revert back to the state code. And we'll go, if somebody wants to annex, they give us an inventory. If we don't like that inventory, we can do our own appraisal. But I think if we get a good track record here, we may want to just continue doing that or extend the agreement for all new annexations.
Well, Teresa, I will be on Payson Power in 5 years.
That's the plan.
Yes, sir. That's good. So we're at. Okay, unless there's more discussion on the work.
I'll make a motion that we approve the settlement agreement with South Utah Valley Electric Service District, and I'm hoping I can vote twice.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to be seconded, starting at roll call vote, starting with Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Stewart.
Yes.
Council Rowley.
Yes.
I vote. Council Moss.
Yes.
Council Hyde.
Yes.
I think you know what my
We'll
vote
have to be
is.
2 and 2 and let them have to leave.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
Mayor, I make a motion that we adjourn to a closed session.
Okay, for a second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good, we're in. Okay, take a motion to adjourn from city council. Second. We have a motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Yes.